Good morning. John Felix, Transparency Accountability Coalition, TAC-US.org.
Sorry to interrupt. Governments are corrupt. It's not a conspiracy. They hire gangs to enforce tyranny.
You guys are committing a felony if you remove me. Okay.
Standing up for rights. No arguments or fights.
Is it under threat of arrest? Okay, it's under threat of arrest. I'm leaving under threat of arrest.
It's all self-defense. Resisting without violence. Resisting without violence. Resisting without violence.
What is up, everybody? How's it going? Oh boy, let me put my banners up. I'll put my media assets up. There it is. There it is. There's the logo. There's the logo. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Resisting Without Violence. How are you tonight? Let's see what people are saying. What's his name? Steve ABQ says AI sucks. AI sucks, but AI is awesome at the same time. I'm assuming you mean AI music sucks. Whatever. Let me say hi to some people, and then we'll get started. Behind the scenes, Carolinas, what's up? For the glory of Christ. Why the question mark? What's the question? Hi. I on Margate. John, I had no idea. You're a restaurant owner in Polk County. Yes, sir, for 13 years. Steve ABQ, what's up? Wicked Wembley, what up, what up? Tony Sweet, the most famous dog walker in New York City. What's up? Steve ABQ, what's up? He said AI sucks. It sucks, but it's also awesome. Depends how you look at it. Let me fix this right here. Let me fix my virtual background. I had everything ready to rock and look good. And then there we go. Yeah. All right. See, I am Margate says great intro. Supposedly that guy singing in that intro was me. And thank you to Rami and Joe Black. And I believe there's some other guys, maybe Snapphase, who's been working on the intros and the logos and everything. I can't thank you enough for that. Mr. Danicola, Man, I blew it. Mr. Danicola, Mr. John Danicola. What you drinking, Mr. John Danicola? I be drinking cola. What kind of cola? Mr. Danicola, Mr. John Danicola. All right, I got to work on that too. AI would have done better than me there, that's for sure. What do we got here? There are more pictures and videos Trump with Epstein than any other politician or celebrity in existence. And that insane birthday card. May every day be another wonderful secret. Yikes. Oh, Amber. Okay. Amber coming with the insight. Government audits, what's up? Stephen Graham, what's up? Michael Scott, what's up, bro? I miss you too, man. What are you doing? I texted you the other day to see if you wanted to buy a pew-pew off me. Text me, man. You interested? The files have been in possession of the progressive liberals for years. They are just as corrupt and unreliable as the Russian dossier. I don't understand what you're trying to get at there. Is that a slam on leftists but not Trump? Trump supporter lost friends and family members because they supported him. Now he doesn't want their support. Yeah, that's exactly right. 10 years ago, I thought the guy in the intro looked older than me. How dare you, bro? Another great distraction. Great distraction from what, brother? You might have changed your phone number, Mike. Cops love poor folks. Poor folks. What is my problem? I can't speak now. All right, so welcome to Resisting Without Violence. Let's get started. What do I want to say? What do I want to do? What do I want to say and do? Let's start with, okay, Jeffrey Epstein. Who's Jeffrey Epstein? Jeffrey Epstein is a guy who basically started as a high school math teacher and then somehow was Midas touched, like everything he touched turned to gold. He went to start teaching. Candace Owens does a great breakdown about who he is. She's actually running a series right now called the Epstein Files, where he started as a math teacher, then he went to the school and became a professor, and then he went to this bank, and just like Emmanuel Macron. Emmanuel Macron was pushed through the banking industry. He had connections to the Rothschilds, and then his wife, his current wife, who's 28 years older than him, groomed him as a minor, and she herself is a PDF file, amongst possibly lying about her gender. Again, a lot of people don't like Candace, but she does great breakdowns about she did the Harvey Weinstein thing. Turns out he's not as guilty as they made him out to be. She's done a thing about I haven't finished watching it, but I want to, about Stephen Avery from Making a Murderer on Netflix, because the Making a Murderer on Netflix, in my opinion, made him look like not a saint, but it made him look like he's being set up. And I haven't finished watching Candace's thing on that, but her thing on Emmanuel Macron and Brigitte Macron is the chef's kiss. What she's doing now about Epstein is wonderful. So this guy was nobody really, a high school teacher, and then somehow, some way, he became this multi-million / billionaire who had the CEO of Victoria's Secret, Les Wexner. Somehow Les Wexner signed over his whole fortune to Jeffrey Epstein. Why would he do that? Right? Also, it's rumored that Epstein is a Mossad agent and works for Israel. And then everything kind of leads back to Israel, because even Trump said, and if you watch my last stream, it's a shame. Israel used to run our Congress, Trump said, and Israel had the right to run our Congress in America. And it's sad now with people like Ilhan Omar and AOC that Israel doesn't any longer run our Congress like they should and have the right to do. Yes, Trump said this. And just because I'm talking about Trump, you need to watch all the episodes. This is number 3 of Resisting Without Violence. I'm not Republican. I'm not Democrat. I take the best ideas from all parties and all people, just generally in life, and I form my own opinion. Because when you stick to Republicans and you stick to Democrats, that's exactly what they want. They want to pigeonhole you into those. That way, when Trump does something stupid and they're sitting there supporting him, these news people, now they got to like, oh God, I got to defend this guy at all costs. I've been pumping him up. I've been saying this about him. No, you don't idolize one politician or one party. You are an independent, free-thinking, critical-thinking American. You take the best from all the parties, not just the two, and other people within the political sphere, and you create your own opinion. Just because this episode I'm going to be talking crap about Trump doesn't mean I'm a Democrat and vice versa. But when I talk crap about them, it doesn't mean that I'm a Republican, okay? So just so we go from there. So do I still like Alex Jones? I mean, Alex Jones has sold out. Thanks for the question, Mike. That's good. Good question. So in the mid to late 90s, Alex Jones was making beautiful documentaries like Police State 99, Police State 2000. Alex Jones infiltrated the Bohemian Grove. What's the Bohemian Grove? The Bohemian Grove is a 2,700 acre redwood forest sanctuary, and all these Republicans would go there and they would do the sacrifice of care ritual in front of this 40-foot, the cremation of care ritual in front of a 40-foot tall statue of Molech, and they would do all kinds of homosexual acts there, and there was no women allowed. And these Republicans, Reagan, there's several. I guess I could Google that real quick. Let's see here. Prominent members of the Bohemian Grove. Let's see what we got here. What celebrities are part of the Bohemian Grove? Clint Eastwood, Henry Kissinger, Walter Cronkite, Richard Nixon, Ronald Reagan, according to Britannica. I'm sure there's a lot more. List of Bohemian Club members. David Gergen. What else we got here? Wow, what a list. I wonder if I could share this real quick. Good question, dude. Good question. Let's get this on here. So here, this is from what website is this? Wikipedia, I guess. Not that they're credible, but Robert Aiken, Louis Walker Alvarez, Sempervera. Okay, see if I recognize any of these names. Hiram Reynolds Bloomer. Okay, don't know. Trying to look for familiar names. James Bowman, that sounds familiar. Isn't he the something secretary right now? Holy names, dude. So these are members. Let's see if I can find some notable ones here. So these are all Republicans who go chill at the Bohemian Grove in the forest and do cremation of care rituals. My God, this just keeps going and going and going and going. I think the most prominent ones I've already said, so. Good Lord. Lord. Okay, so there you go. There's your Bohemian Grove members, right? So what was the question again? I should have pinned it. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Let's go back. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So Alex Jones. So Alex Jones went from making amazing documentaries about the New World Order, about exposing Bohemian Grove. He made a great documentary called Endgame, where he exposed the Bilderberg Group. Again, the Bilderberg Group was a secret group that met once a year that if you even talked about it, you're full of crap. That doesn't exist. It's not a thing. Alex Jones made a great documentary. And the great documentaries about police state and Seattle police and Portland police. And then he broke into Bohemian Grove. And then as time went on, he started talking about the Sandy Hook massacre, which I still don't believe. I don't believe anything anymore. You can't believe anything anymore. And now that AI is a thing, it's like video used to be solid. Video doesn't lie, right? That was everybody would say video doesn't lie. But now you saw me singing in the video ahead of me in the intro. It wasn't me. Video lies now. So to find the truth from here forward is going to be next to impossible. You're going to have to find trusted sources. You're going to have to make up your own mind. And then from the Sandy Hook thing, everybody who owns the mainstream media and the websites, they all booted Alex Jones at the same time. He got sued. He owes people billions and millions and trillions of dollars. And then somehow he started becoming a mainstream Republican and backing Donald Trump. And now he's got egg on his face. Again, stop voting for these two parties. Stop aligning yourself with just one or two parties or one person. No, you need to marry yourself to an idea. My idea is freedom. No victim, no damages, no trespass, no child endangerment, no crime. That's it. That's pretty much Constitution. As long as you're minding your own business, you're not infringing on others, you're not hurting other people, you're not trespassing on their property, you're not creating damages, you're not stealing stuff, you should be able to be a free person. America has gone so far away from that, it's disturbing. Let's see what else. What else we got here? Cops love two heads of the same. Yep, two heads of the same snake. I always say two wings of the same bird flying in the same direction. Life under the microscope. This guy told me something shocking today. I don't know if we're going to get to it tonight, Mike, but he basically told me that this is the guy who taught me about the carnivore diet. This guy's done more for me than any doctor has ever done for me. So now I go to my regular doctor, and then I call Mike here, Carnivore Mike, Life Under the Microscope. And he tells me what the deal is. My doctor prescribed me statins because my cholesterol is high, so to speak. Mike explained why that's BS. I didn't even go get the prescription. I'm doing it this way. Today he called me and he talked about he had some cavities, and I don't know if he means by this diet and some special mouthwash he used. He said that his cavities were like his tooth enamel was, I forgot how he put it. I should look up the text. But yeah, man, you can't trust you can't trust anyone. You really can't trust anyone anymore. Let's see how he put that. Carnivore Mike. Let's type in carnivore. Just went to the dentist for a chipped tooth over the weekend. It was previously filled tooth that was not sound because of the filling. I hadn't been since 2018 when I had several cavities. None of those cavities were present today. Only a remineralized hold on one of them that was on the surface. Remineralized hole. Like, wow, dude. This guy should write a book. All right, so Trump, Epstein. I'm getting going everywhere here. So let's start with this one here. Let's go here. Let's see what Trump's doing in this video. Well, that's got music in it. Let me there we go. NBC shows Donald Trump at the Mar-a-Lago with Jeffrey Epstein in 1992. So they're buddies, dude. There's no doubt about that. These two were buddies. Trump is a scumbag. Let's be honest. This is more than a decade before Epstein's plea deal in Florida. And as far as the plea deal in Florida, Alex Acosta was the guy in Florida, the attorney general in Florida, or the attorney, whatever they're called with their fancy title. And Epstein got caught. Him and Ghislaine were in Florida. They had like a condo or something. And Ghislaine would go to the local school there, the high school, and tell these girls, you want to make $200? All you got to do is massage somebody. I wonder who they were massaging. And they got caught. And he was facing decades and decades and decades in prison for what he's doing. Like anybody, if any of you did what Epstein did, you'd be under the jail. Nobody would ever hear from you again. Your life's over. End of story. Well, Epstein didn't get that treatment. What he got was Alex Acosta, who's on the record saying that Epstein was above his pay grade and he needed to back off of him. So he gave him some sweetheart deal where he basically did some probation, and the jail time that he did, he was allowed to leave the jail 12 hours a day, go up to some high rise where he had an office, and still continue to do the things he was doing that got him there in the first place. So let's see what else we got here. There they are, buddy. Sorry, I want to get through this, guys, and make it like more, what do you call it? I want it to flow better. So when I read the comments, I really get distracted. So I got to like lay off the comments. There we go. There's Trump. Like, dude, just, I don't know. Trump is, and there's Ghislaine right there in the background. You see her? There she is. There it is. There they are. Ha, ha, ha. Right? That's Trump's buddy. All right, let's get rid of that one. Let's go to the next one here. Megyn Kelly. No. This is a pretty cool thing about Arsenio Hall. Let's see where we at there. No. 6 Republicans joined Dems to force vote on Epstein release. What we got here? MAGA base, disowned. Dude, this takes a lot of time to set up a show like this. And I need to get better at it. So bear with me. James O'Keefe, Corolla. All right, so let's watch this one by Door here. Dancing Israelis. Corolla. 109. All right, let's go to 109. And share. Share. That's not how you do it. What did I do wrong? Share screen. Seinfeld. Here's what everyone missed. Where is it? Paste. Oh, right here. Okay. Sure. All right, let's listen to this real quick.
Say what's going on.
At some point,
And take it off 2x speed. I listen to everything on 2x or faster. Sorry, guys. Put on 125.
the basic economics really matter. And they matter because not that it's bad that rich people are getting richer, it's bad that everyone else is getting poorer. And it's especially bad that young people can't afford homes. Let me just put a very precise point on this. If you want a measure of how your economy is doing, I personally favor eliminating GDP as a measure. I don't even know what that is. It's clearly not relevant. They tell me Japan has a stagnant GDP. Have you been to Tokyo? It's the single most radicalizing experience you'll ever have because it's just so nice. You lost the world.
So yeah, we're supposed to be the best country in the world. Meanwhile, Tokyo and all these countries that we rag on and we pretend like we're the elites of the world, not only have caught up to us, they've surpassed us because all our money goes to fighting wars, weapons contractors, and supporting that little state over there in the Middle East as if they're our greatest ally, which couldn't be further from the truth.
Oh, really? Can we lose a war and wind up like this? GDP. No, I don't know what even that is. The total economic activity. Oh, no. My measure is really simple. I got a bunch of kids. Can they afford houses with full-time jobs at like 27, 20?
That's a good question. If you got a kid and they're 26, 27, they're working full-time, can they afford a house in the United States? I've been working restaurant owner. I've been working 30 plus years. I've never been able to afford a house. Honestly, I've never even thought about it. Going through life, I said, eventually one day I'll get a house. I ended up moving in with my wife because my wife is a damn saint, and she's so good with money. It's like it's disturbing how good she is with money. She takes this much money and stretches it out to there. So let's keep going here.
And the answer is no way. And the answer is that 35-year-olds with really good jobs can't afford a house unless.
Correct. In order for you to work a job and be able to afford a house yourself, you have to be like a doctor or something. You have to be making over $100,000 a year. Let's be honest.
They stretch and go deep into debt. And I just think that's a total disaster. That's a complete disaster. Why?
Joe, what does your son do?
Two reasons. One, if people don't own things, they don't feel ownership of the country they're in. And the country gets super volatile because people feel like they've got nothing to lose. When you have a lawn, trust me, you're thinking long term. Second, it's really hard to have a family without a house. It is. It's like super fun to live in an apartment if there's like a bar downstairs, you're in a cool neighborhood. I'm in East Village. It's so cool. Try to have 3 kids. You're not going to have 3 kids. There you can't.
Oh, whoa, George Daly, where are you getting that from? Women are smarter than men. Fact? I don't know if that's a fact. I'll give you that's your opinion.
Nobody wants to raise their kids in that neighborhood. Nobody wants to raise their kids in an apartment. People do it because they have to. Nobody wants to. People want a little house, not some McMansion, just a little normal house. That is the actual American dream. And
man, what is this McMansion I hear all about? I'm hearing about all the time. So Tucker makes a good point there. There's another part of this. Let's see here. 4 minutes, 38 seconds. Now listen to what Adam Carolla says here about home ownership, because I found this pretty interesting, and I'll look up McMansion in the meantime.
Intro. What's your response to that?
I believe that he's 100% correct in terms of home ownership. Like you have to have some skin in the game. I believe when you see the sort of anarchy, we see people running around out there doing insane things like throwing a rock at an ICE officer or a cop car or something like that. Those aren't homeowners. You need a little bit of, when you own a home, it changes everything. You go, I can't drive uninsured because
someone can take your home. Home ownership's a big deal.
If I get into an accident, I'm going to get sued and they're going to take my home. That's my highest asset. You know what I mean? Like I totally agree. Home ownership, super important. And I believe there's probably a bunch of different ways. I mean, we should treat it like the Manhattan Project. We just go, look, let's get everybody right, left, and center just to go at this. I say it all the time. I said it yesterday. I know plenty of people live in Los Angeles. They make 35, 40, 45K a year. A decent home is $1.8 million.
That's the part that struck me right there. A decent home is $1.8 million. What world is Adam Carolla living in where a decent home is $1.8 million? Anybody in the thread here? Is anyone in this thread watching me right now have a home that's worth $1.8 million? And he's saying it like this is common knowledge. A decent home is $1.8 million. Like what? Where? What? What?
It's a decent home. That's not even a nice home.
That's not even a nice home. It's just a decent home. 1.8 million.
Just saying a safe-ish neighborhood.
Safe-ish neighborhood. For 1.8 million, you're not even completely safe. Dude, if I had $1.8 million right now, I'd retire. First of all, I'm never going to get a job ever again. Secondly, I take, I don't know, a third of that, $600,000. I go buy some property and dig into the ground and fortify that mother effer and go off grid. So this guy's been rich for way too long. And for him to, and then Jimmy Dore, bro, why aren't you cutting in and be like, Adam, bro, 1.8, does Jimmy Dore believe that a decent house in a safe-ish neighborhood is around $1.8 million? Bro, you are out of touch with the American people, man.
It's $1.8 million. That's not there's no pool with a slide on it or lazy river going around that place. It's just a safe-ish place. That's insane. And there's
what? That's not even a fancy place. McMansion, by the way. So that's what I wanted to show you from that clip. A McMansion is a large, ostentatious, and often poorly designed house, typically built in suburban areas that aims to protect wealth and status, but lacks architectural quality or uniqueness. The term portmanteau of McDonald's and mansion is a portmanteau. A portmanteau? What the hell's a portmanteau? And I guess that's when you combine two words together. Let's see here. Suggesting a mass-produced, generic, and somewhat tasteless quality. Large size. McMansions are generally over 3,000 square feet, often exceeding 4,000 to even 6,000 square feet. Mass production. They're typically built by developers in large quantities, using standardized designs and often lacking architectural uniqueness. Poor design, ostentatious, lack of quality. To cut costs, maximize square footage, the quality and materials of craftsmanship may be. Okay, so now we know what a McMansion is. Oh, now I need to Google. The hell did he call it? Portmanteau, Pikachu. Yeah, explain. Yeah, there you go. Explain this. Meaning of portmanteau, or a portmanteau word, a word that combines the sounds and meanings of two or more other words. Okay, I figured it out. I'm a damn genius. All right, where do we want to go next? So that's what I wanted you to see from that clip. Close that off. All right. And oh yeah, so back to Trump and Epstein. So for years and years and years, everyone wanted to know what's going on with Trump and Epstein. He got arrested, he got a sweetheart deal, and then he's free and clear again. Then they bust him again, and he unalives himself in prison. And nobody believes it. Nobody believes he did that. Most people think that someone went in there and unalived him, or someone went in there, took him out of there, and told the story that he was unalived. I think it's the last two. He did not off himself. There's no way. The reason he needed to be offed is because he has so much dirt on so many politicians, probably including Trump. And even Elon Musk said Trump won't release the Epstein files because he's in the Epstein files. And I think I have a video clip where he kind of admits it himself. I should find the video clip where he says Israel should run Congress. And again, a lot of people think that Epstein is Israeli Mossad agent. And then some of the reasons, and again, I can only scratch the surface because there's so much about this. And there's so much to talk about in such a short time. There's no way I can cover it all. Ghislaine Maxwell was his procurement person. She would go get the girls. They would funnel 200 this. By the time they got in the house, it turned into more than just a massage. Her father, something Maxwell, I forget his name, Robert Maxwell, is deep in the Israeli Mossad. He even wrote books about it. Again, watch the Epstein files on Candace Owens' YouTube channel. She breaks all this down. He was a Mossad agent. He absolutely loved Ghislaine. He named his boat Ghislaine. Ghislaine hooks up with Epstein. Next thing you know, and then Robert Maxwell owned tons of media companies. All right, let's go to the next clip here. And thanks everybody for being here. If you'd like to throw me a few bucks, $ John Felix on Cash App. Stop doing it through Super Chat and stuff because YouTube takes 30% of my money and they don't deserve it. They don't do anything but suppress me on this channel and my second channel. Oh, my first channel. By the way, on my first channel today, Liberty Troll and I went to the Polk County Courthouse where he was falsely arrested in Polk County for daring to record in public. Then they stacked charges on him. And then the two sows that prosecuted him, he's appealing, thank God. One of them had the nerve to say, and I saw her today, and I was mean mugging her so hard that the bailiff kicked me out of the courtroom. So go watch that video. She said that Mr. Liberty Troll has some imagined First Amendment right. Imagined. Today he went to court for early probation release, and they objected to his early probation release because they said that his job is to push the boundaries of the law. Like, that's your job, you cow. That's not his. He has an inalienable right. Your job is to push the boundaries of the law and arrest people for using their inalienable rights. Again, they're projecting. What they're doing, they're projecting onto you. Let's watch this here. I gotta stop closing it out like that. Share screen. Let's go here. Share this. So we got Megyn Kelly here, who's another basically feminist, which she won't admit it though. She's a feminist all day, and she's supposedly all aboard with Trump. And when Trump was on the debate stage, he said she was bleeding from her eyes and other places. In other words, inferring that she's on the rag. So here's her now having to cope with all this Epstein stuff, because Trump just came out recently and said the whole Epstein stuff is a hoax. There's nothing to see here. Anyone who's still talking about Epstein is just a loser who's falling for the Democrat hoax. And if the people who supported me still want to talk about Epstein, I don't care if they supported me anymore. So he's just throwing everything down the toilet. His legacy is down the toilet. Let's see what she has to say.
The files, but he's not really in the files. So that's a pretty remarkable.
I gotta take it off a 2x. Sorry, guys. That's how I watch everything. So Megyn Kelly's saying that Trump might be in the Epstein files, but he's not in there doing what you think he's doing. How about releasing him so we can see for ourselves, right?
Full contention that nobody believes that Donald Trump was with underage girls. At least one anonymous person who filed suit against him believes it because she claims to have been a victim of it. Your reminder that Katie Johnson, that's a pseudonym, sued Trump for allegedly assaulting her when she was 13 at Jeffrey Epstein's New York home, but was forced to drop the case after receiving multiple death threats. And we showed this the other day, but it's worth revisiting.
Oh, yeah. So, again, Trump he's a scumbag. Let's be honest. Here's a bunch of clips of how he talks about women and his own daughters. So, if you're Christian, you support this guy, what are you doing? If you have any morals at all and you support this guy, or either party, honestly, the only people I even like are Rand Paul, which he's not his father, Ron, my idol, Ron Paul, or Thomas Massey, who's more like Ron Paul than Ron Paul's own son. So let's hear what Trump has to say in the past about his daughters and things in general. Let's listen.
Light of that statement. The Lincoln Project made this, but hey, give the devil their due. They did a pretty good job. All these clips are authentic. A lot of people have probably seen them already. You watch this and you tell me that it's hard to imagine that Donald Trump, who we have copious amounts of video of him hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein
copious,
didn't have a penchant for underage girls.
Beautiful baby, and she's got marvelous legs. We don't know whether or not she's got this part yet, but
he's talking about his daughter.
He's talking about his daughter has beautiful legs, and I don't know if she's got the breasts yet. He's talking about his own daughter.
He's talking about Tiffany Trump here.
You're going up the escalator? I'm going to be dating her in 10 years. Can you believe it?
Ivanka, what's the favorite thing you have in common with your father?
Either real estate or golf.
Donald, with your daughter?
Well, I was going to say sex, but I can't relate that.
You think that's a nervous smile, nervous laughter right there? Look at her. My friends up north think she's hot too. I don't think she's all that hot. There's so many better. Dude, there's better looking women that work at McDonald's than some of these people. So,
Although she does have a very nice figure. I've said that if Ivanka...
Nervous look away. He's talking about his own daughter, dude. On TV. Like, have some respect, dude. I wouldn't even want my daughter to be on TV, much less have her right there and talk about sexual stuff and her body and her breasts and her legs. Like, this guy's sick, bro. This isn't some principled man or anything.
Or my daughter, perhaps I'd be dating her. I'll go backstage before a show. Yes. And everyone's getting dressed and ready and everything else. And, no men are anywhere. And I'm allowed to go in because I'm the owner of the pageant, and therefore I'm inspecting it.
So he's the owner of the pageants. He used to throw beauty pageants so he can make money. But he's the owner, so he gets to go backstage and watch all these women, underage, overage, everything. He's disgusting. He's a pervert. I think even Melania, let's see what the age difference between Trump and Melania. How much older is Trump than Melania? Man, I gotta start using ChatGPT more because that gives you answers on the spot. See, this is BS. Let me play some more of this. And I'll look for that in the background.
Right. And I want to make sure that
You're like a
everything's
doctor.
good.
You're there.
Yeah, the dress. Is everyone okay? You know, they're standing there with no clothes. Is everybody okay? And you see these incredible looking women. And so I sort of get away with things like that.
Really, nobody believes that there's anything incriminating about Donald Trump.
Right. I used to get away with things like that. Dude, in the 60s and 70s, dude, were wide open. The guy, Jimmy Savile over in England, I forget what he was, like some TV personality. And he'd go from city to city all around London and literally just SARAPE young women. And then he'd run and he'd be on TV saying, you should watch the Jimmy Savile thing on Netflix. And he'd be on TV. He's like, oh, we had to get out of there. We had to get out of there. So ChatGPT is the bomb. Let's see. Let's try this. How much older is Donald Trump than Melania? Oops. How much older is Donald Trump than Melania? See what it says. What do we got here? Searching the web. All right. All right. Don't do me. Okay. 1946, 1970, 23 years, 10 months, and 12 days. He's 23 years older. So when Trump was 23 years old, Melania was still 10 months from being born. Okay. So let's go back to me here and see what we want to talk about next. That was good. Instead of closing that out, let's put this and then let's close this one out. That was good. Yeah, yeah. Feeling the flow, feeling the funk, feeling the flow, feeling the funk. This is a comedy writer. This doesn't have anything to do with Epstein. Maybe I should skip this one and go back. Israel, okay. 6 Republicans joined Dems to force the vote on Epstein file release. Let's play a little bit of this one and see what they're talking about. I need to timestamp these better too.
Okay, well, you might remember a young whippersnapper named Donald J. Trump. He was going to take on the deep state. Let's reminisce.
And if you put me back in the White House, their reign is over. Their reign will be over. And they know it. And America
Yeah. How's that going?
will be a free nation once again. We're not a free
Really, bro?
nation right now.
No.
We don't have free press. We don't have free anything.
Hmm.
In 2016, I declared, I am your voice. Today, I add, I am your warrior. I am your justice. And for those who have been wronged and betrayed, I am your retribution. I am your...
He's your voice. He's your retribution. He was going to conquer the deep state. All this stuff about he's going to drain the swamp, right? It's all BS. All of it is BS.
Your retribution.
Sounds pretty good.
Not gonna let it happen. I will totally obliterate the deep state. I will fire the dissident.
Gonna obliterate the deep state. All right, well, let's hear him.
Mindless chanting.
Last night.
Things that have happened. There's the Russia collusion against you. There is Jack Smith against you. There's all the things that happened in 2020, not investigating China interference in the 2020 election.
China.
Where do you think, what are the things that are most important that you would like to see the FBI get to the bottom of?
I think they could look at all of it. It's all the same scam. They could look at this Jeffrey Epstein hoax also.
Oh, it's a hoax now.
That's the same stuff. That's all put out by Democrats.
Yeah.
And, some of the naive Republicans fall right into line like they always do. They just don't have the sustainability. They don't have they don't have that stick to it like glue. The Democrats, they have bad policy. They have bad candidates. They have bad everything, but they stick together.
So it's more important for Trump to stick together and pigeonhole you, like I was saying at the beginning of this podcast, pigeonhole you, stick together with the Republicans. At least the Democrats, no matter how crappy they are, no matter how much they lie, no matter how many crimes they commit, they stick together. So we need to be like them.
Republicans don't do that, but they ought to look into the Jeffrey Epstein hoax too, because that's another hoax that's frankly put out by the pushing the Republicans and put out by the Democrats.
The Democrats put out the Epstein hoax. Since 2012, people have known that Epstein is a you-know-what, and then Les Wexner, who owned Victoria's Secret. I saw this earlier. There was a deposition where Epstein was being deposed, and the lawyer literally asked him, you and Les Wexner had a sexual relations, right? Would you consider yourself bisexual? He was asked this on a direct deposition. I wish I could find it. I ran out of time today. So
no, they definitely set the Republicans up. One big prosecutor look at it all. Would that make you feel good? You think
This is his kind of anchor.
Well, I think it's in the case of Epstein, they've already looked at it, and they are looking at it. And I think all they have to do is put out anything credible. But, you know, that was run by the Biden administration for 4 years. I can imagine what they put into files, just like they did with the others. I mean, the Steele dossier was a total fake.
Right.
It took 2 years to figure that out for the people.
I want this
And
guy's
all of the things that you mentioned were fake. So I would imagine if they were run by Chris Wray and they were run by Comey, and because it was actually even before that administration, they've been running these files. And so much of the things that we found were fake with me, but especially you
hear that right there? Kind of sounded like he admitted it right there. Even some of the things we found in the Epstein files, even about me. Let's go back 10 seconds.
By Comey, and because it was actually even before that administration, they've been running these files. And so much of the things that we found were fake with me. But
with me. So they found stuff about him in the files, and he's saying right here that they're fake. So it's kind of admitting he's in the Epstein files there.
Especially you look at that Steele dossier where they paid like 14 or 16 million. That's more than James Patterson gets paid to do a #1 bestseller. And the thing turned out to be a total scam. So frankly, you know, I think I love that they're looking at all this stuff. If they are, I hope they are.
It's a great job that guy's got. It's the easiest job in the world. Just say yes every 10 seconds.
These guys are great, by the way. They're called Due Dissidence Podcast. All right, so there's that. Let's see what we want to go to next. I'm trying to link it all together if I can. What I got saved here? More Israel stuff. O'Keefe, FBI official. Okay, let's James O'Keefe. You guys know who James O'Keefe is? O'Keefe is a journalist. He had it's called O'Keefe Media Group now, but he had Project Veritas. I think his company was called Project Veritas, and he would hire undercover reporters, and they'd have a hidden cam, and they'd go to Planned Parenthood, and they set up dates with like people from Planned Parenthood and people from the government, and he's gotten these people to admit, like with Planned Parenthood, that the one lady was like, I want a Lamborghini. Let's sell these chopped up parts of young, you know what I'm saying? Of these. See, I don't know what to say because a lot of the stuff you can't even say on YouTube. So he caught one lady saying she wants a Lamborghini. Let's sell as many parts as we can because she wants a Lamborghini. He also exposed somebody about the what the hell was it? I lost my train of thought. Anyway, let's watch him here. See if I can pull it up. I pull up Chef in the Kitchen. Chef in the Kitchen.
Thank you, Charlie Kirk, for having me.
Oh, Charlie Kirk is another Israel apologist, Zionist. And then before I get back to James O'Keefe here, Charlie Kirk is a punk, bro. He started Turning Point USA, claims to be conservative, but he's a Christian who is a Scofield Bible Christian. If you don't know what the Scofield Bible is, it's a Bible introduced like just after the 1900s by a gentleman named Scofield, and he put his own notations. So for every Bible verse, Scofield will put his interpretation of what it meant, like Jews are God's chosen people. That's not in the original Bible. That's the Scofield edition. Well, the Scofield edition was pushed and pushed and pushed for decades into the American South and America, and people who consider themselves Zionists are people who've been brainwashed by the Scofield Bible, because Zionism is actually a colonial settler movement that started in about 1895, first by a Russian Jew and then taken on by someone named Theodore Herzl, who wrote a book called The Jewish State, to which it said Jews should have their own state. And they decided they were thinking about several different places to have the Jewish state, and then they chose Palestine. Okay? And then in 1917, Lord Balfour was a British guy, wrote the Balfour Declaration, where the Balfour Declaration literally starts out, "Dear Mr. Rothschild," a Rothschild who started Israel by buying a huge plot of land there, and they made it Jewish only. They're called kibbutzes, which is little communist farming communities. So the Palestinians who were living there, they weren't allowed to work there. So he bought a big swath of land. They created these little communist garden communities, and they wouldn't let Palestinians work there. So they owned these swaths of land. Palestinians got kicked out and basically weren't allowed in that land anymore. And then they started migrating over from Europe. They were called aliyahs. Migrating over from Europe. This is before World War II, before the Holocaust, before all that stuff. They're migrating over to Israel. Well, the Palestinians over in Palestine are like, all right, dude, enough is enough. What are you doing? You're letting these people take over our country of Palestine. And people will say it's not a country, but it is. They had a grand mufti. That's a whole nother ball game. So during this time, these people started coming over, and the Jewish people who migrated over from Europe started forming little militias: the Haganah, the Irgun, and the Stern Gang. And the Irgun and the Stern Gang were the most violent. And when the British stopped letting Jews come over from Europe and taking over Palestine, the Irgun and the Stern Gang and the Haganah, they literally went and committed a terrorist attack against the King David Hotel. They bombed the King David Hotel because they wouldn't let them keep taking over Palestine. The Haganah actually became the Israeli Defense Forces, which is today's army of Israel. The Israeli army today is called the IDF, which was a militia back before Israel was even created in 1948. So where am I going with this? I probably went over this again. So that happened, and then World War II started, and of course there was a Holocaust. And by 1948, after World War II was over, there was too much fighting going on in Palestine. The United Nations controlled Palestine. It was called British Mandate Palestine. In other words, it was Palestine, but British mandated everything that was going on there somehow. I don't know where they got that authority. And in 1948, Britain's like, yeah, we've created this mess, but we don't want any more of it. So they gave over the power to the United Nations. And somehow the United Nations thought that they would create a two-state solution where they gave 50+% of Palestine to the Jews who live there, which made up 10% of the population. So in 1948, they declared the state of Israel. The Jews accepted what the UN said. The Palestinians are like, no, we're not going to accept that you give 50+ % of our land to 10% of the inhabitants here. So Israel accepted. Next thing you know, a war breaks out, and 750,000 Palestinians are pushed out of that part that the UN gave to Israel, and they're pushed into Gaza, and they're pushed into the West Bank. They call that the Nakba, the catastrophe. So there's that. That was in 1948. And then in 1967, again, all these countries were like, Israel, what are you doing? No, you don't get to do this. So in 1967, Israel launched a preemptive war where they took over the Sinai Peninsula. They took over the West Bank. They've been controlling it, and Gaza. And they've been controlling the West Bank and Gaza ever since 1967. The longest occupation. I think it's the only occupation in the world still. And all of it is funded and paid for by you. When you go to work as a server, as a bartender, as a mechanic, as a doctor, and they pull money out your paycheck, it goes over there so they can do what they've been doing ever since 1890 something. They do it with your money. Otherwise, why should we care? They're over there. They're not our ally. Also, Israel attacked one of our ships called the USS Liberty. Again, there's tons of stuff about the USS Liberty online, but Candace Owens actually had a guy who was on deck that day and told you what happened. Let's go back to James O'Keefe. That's enough ranting out of me. Yeah, no tax on tips. That's another thing Trump said. That's never going to happen. And as a matter of fact, Ron Paul, my hero, wants to abolish the IRS altogether, get rid of income tax altogether because income tax is not constitutional. That's what got me started in this movement to begin with, the income tax. And when I started reading about how there's no law that says you have to pay income tax, and it doesn't exist, good luck to finding it. It doesn't exist. That's what got me started in this movement. All right, so let's go back to where were we? James O'Keefe. Let's see what he's saying. This guy's great, by the way. And he was so good, and he exposed so many people that his board from Project Veritas threw him out of his own company. That's how much this guy was doing great work, that he got thrown out of his own company for exposing things he wasn't supposed to expose. And he started his own thing called O'Keefe Media Group, OMG, O'Keefe Media Group.
I got a lot to get through in 20 minutes. Thank you, everyone. This is incredible. One of the largest crowds I've ever seen. It's my 10th year at Turning Point. And I'm going to tell you about Jeffrey Epstein. So, some news last night as I was flying in. I saw the news regarding Dan Bongino resigning from the FBI. Saw the collision between Pam Bondi, Bongino, Kash Patel, stuff happening. I want to tell you a little story. Take you behind the scenes. Take you undercover as we try to ascertain what's really going on. They always, why do they always tell the truth only in private? Why do they not say the quiet part publicly? But maybe they say it privately. Let me take you back to the month of April. This is April 28th in a restaurant in Washington, D.C. This is the Attorney General of the United States talking to someone. They recorded it, sent it to us.
By the way, Pam Bondi was not supposed to be the Attorney General of the United States. It was supposed to be Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz was caught up in an Epstein-style honeypot scheme in, I think it was Fort Myers area of Florida, a very rich area of Florida. Matt Gaetz' father was super rich. He hooked up with this guy who's a Zionist who ran the DMV down there. The guy who ran the DMV, the Zionist, was creating fake IDs for girls who were underage. Next thing you know, Gaetz' family and his family are at parties. They get together. They start talking. He tells Gaetz, hey, I got these beautiful girls. Would you like to hook up? And he's got the fake IDs ready for him. So Gaetz, I believe, this is my opinion, I hooked up with some of these girls. And then when he's done hooking up with them, they're like, oh, guess what, Matt Gaetz? That girl was 17. Guess what? That girl was 16. And Gaetz, well, you're talking about her license, the license he procured for them, right? So then they blackmail Matt Gaetz' dad to release some hostage or something across the world. And Matt Gaetz does not bend the knee for Israel. So when he went to become the Attorney General, he had to drop out because this honeypot scheme that they forced on him, because they're not going to have an anti-Israel guy in there. So who have they put in? Bongino, Dan Bongino, who literally was asked a question during an interview, what's your number one goal or what's your number one thing as going to be as a politician or whatever? He says, the defense of Israel. Pam Bondi, Israel first. Narco Rubio, Israel first. Elise Stefanik, Israel first. These are all Israel first. Trump himself, Israel had the right to control our Congress, and it's sad that Israel doesn't run our Congress anymore. A foreign country, people. Let's keep going.
Talking about tens of thousands of videos.
Epstein files are going to get released?
We hope soon. The FBI's been.
Okay.
So,
any dates?
No, you know what it is? There are tens and thousands of videos. Yeah. And it's all with little kids. So they have to go through every one.
Now, we sent the Attorney General an email requesting comment. This is on May the 1st, a couple days after the 28th. We quoted what she had said, tens of thousands of videos of little kids, not something that's been reported publicly. After we sent the email, suddenly we saw this at the White House.
James Comer said yesterday that all Epstein files are missing. No, the FBI. Yeah, the FBI, they're reviewing. There are tens of.
Oh, yeah, Ted Cruz. Good job, Seven Cities kid. Ted Cruz went on Tucker Carlson and said he wakes up every morning as a politician in America and in Texas to make sure that Israel is safe. Because his Schofield Bible told him that Israel's God's chosen people, and since he's a Christian, he wakes up every morning to save Israel, to defend Israel, something along those lines. Good job. Thank you for reminding me that.
Thousands of videos of Epstein with children or child porn.
It seemed to mirror quite identically what we had captured just 9 days prior.
Tens of thousands of videos. Yeah, and it's all with little kids. There are tens of thousands of videos of Epstein with children or child porn.
Something didn't seem to add up. It raised questions. The questions for me and my team was, and this is not an easy story for us to publish, is Why share that with someone at a restaurant, but not share it with the American people first? We also saw this on Joe Rogan.
No, we're giving you everything we have.
And is there video from the island?
Not of what you want.
But
Kash Patel on Joe Rogan.
Is there footage?
If there was
hesitation, little hesitation there, Kash.
footage of anyone doing anything else, we would have opened a case.
There are tens of thousands of videos. Yeah, and it's all with little kids.
Something doesn't seem to be adding up. Now, the Department of Justice issued this statement, which you probably all saw this week. There's no client list. There's no evidence of any blackmail. And there's no evidence that could predicate an investigation against anybody else. There's no story. There's no evidence. Now, listen, as a reporter, as a journalist, I can always tell you, there's always a story. It's just a question of to what degree. But to see the government tell us there's no story, it just doesn't seem to add up. And I'm a little biased on this issue because I myself, my team, as you know, have been raided by the FBI. Granted, it was the previous administration that did this. You're looking at a certain.
So yeah, I think he got raided by the FBI because they had a copy of Joe Biden's daughter's diary. So the FBI went and raided him. This is how good of a undercover journalist this guy is.
Search warrant. The FBI taking battering rams to our doors a couple years ago.
I'm sorry, so what is this regarding? This is the search warrant. Open up.
Let me see your hands. Let me see your hands. They go after teachers.
Let me see the diary.
They go after mothers. They go after journalists in the United States of America under the flimsiest of pretenses, often a pretext, often a false pretense, and they lie.
Hit the thumbs up, please, guys.
About it. They ruffle through our notes. They go through. And by the way, the previous Attorney General expressly forbid this. Even the liberal news media was against it at the time that it happened. But this administration did get around to releasing the affidavit, the probable cause. The case is now closed. In my case, they closed the case and they had to release what's called an affidavit. That is the justification for the search warrant, the probable cause. Thankfully, hopefully, we'll now see who lied to the FBI. We'll see the transparency. We'll get the accountability. But when they released this affidavit, this probable cause, they redacted every single word.
There you go.
You are looking at the justification for the raid of my newsroom. The Department of Justice right now could wave their magic wand and show you what's behind these black lines. Does the public right to know outweigh whatever marginal concern the FBI has to protect?
Yes, we should know. Again, when auditors do public records requests, oh, you're just hassling. You're just doing this. You're just a fraud. No, it's your right to know what the government is spending your money on. It's not a hassle. It's a constitutional right.
They're confidential informants. And by the way, it's a crime to lie to the FBI. This is over the Biden diary stuff. Did actually Biden lie to the FBI? If you or I lied to the FBI, we'd be in trouble. In fact, the only thing that wasn't redacted on this document was a footnote that said, based upon my training and experience, I have learned, this is an FBI agent talking, that cell phones are capable of sending emails.
Oh, wow.
This is just bizarre. Even the ACLU protested this. This is another liberal organization defending me in federal court. This is just bananas. What does it mean to be liberal anymore? What does it mean to be conservative anymore? I consider myself a constitutionalist. I believe in the First
Oh, how dare you? Domestic terrorist here, constitutionalist like me.
Amendment. I believe in the Fourth Amendment, and I believe in the public's right to know. So let's go back to this. Department of Justice statement this week. Much of the material is subject to sealing. We need to protect victims. Well, I'm all about protecting victims, and I don't believe we should publish any child pornography. But this did not expose any additional third parties to allegations of illegal wrongdoing. By show of hands, how many of you think that's a lie? 100% of you. I mean, this is crazy. So I'm announcing, and I have announced previously, but I'm going to release some new information here on stage with you today. It's time to take matters into our own hands. If we can't get transparency, then we need to be the change that we seek. We need to have people come to us, sources on the inside, brave people, often speaking out of turn, and we release images. These were images given to us by people in the government, people who don't trust the government. First, we got some images inside the Epstein temple, never before seen.
Woo!
Very strange stuff, including something on the ceiling. We were trying to decipher what that was. Then we got images inside his library, including on his blackboard. I presume the FBI has all this. Strange things, power, deception, various words. A lot of people online trying to decipher or
That's what's in that little temple on the island.
Crack the code. We even got images inside his bedroom. Next to his bed table, there was a phone. On the phone, there was a series of names. Karina, Darren, Rich, Mike. I wonder if any of these people know what happened with all this child stuff that happened. We even were able to find out the names of these people by doing some research. His last girlfriend, his advisor, his lawyer. You're trying to tell me that none of these people had any knowledge about any illegal activity. But I think it's time for us to just hear directly from FBI agents. What do you guys think?
Ooh, I don't remember this.
You know, I have an idea. What if we launch something called FBI Leaks? How about?
Wow, good idea. The new O'Keefe Media Group series, FBI Leaks.
How about that? How about we release audio and video? Listen, you know, whether they come to me on the record or off the record, they tend to be more honest off the record. So perhaps we need to publish what they're saying off the record. We have to do that. And in our first video, released right now online, we're going to release the Deputy National Intelligence Officer of the FBI, whose name is Rami Hassan, and he's talking about the Epstein case, and he says, I'm with the FBI, quote, it's a shit show. And this is, I'm just going to play a little clip. You can find the rest of it online.
I'm with FBI. It's a show. I'm with FBI.
He also talks about that you can kind of see where law enforcement kind of either turned a blind eye or missed things. This man is a director, and he's saying law enforcement turned a blind eye. The question is, what did they turn a blind eye to? And I'm calling on everyone on the inside with knowledge of the situation to come out, tell the truth, because we, the American people, have a right to know. Now, I've been doing this a lot recently in the deep state, and some of this stuff you can't make up.
Who's effeminate? James O'Keefe? He might be gay. I don't care. I don't care what you are, man. You tell the truth, you tell the truth.
We've met with people in the Pentagon, the Department of Defense. Remember this guy, Jamie Menina? He's a former FBI special agent within the Department of Defense, caught this year during the new administration, talking about what he does inside the intelligence community.
To the intelligence community, and I became an FBI special agent. So I became a spy hunter.
So a spy hunter. So this video you're seeing here, this is pretty typical of what James O'Keefe and his crew does. This guy was on a dating app or something. He's set up a date with either a guy or a girl here, and the guy or girl he doesn't know is recording him, and then they just spill their guts on a date trying to impress their date and stuff.
Was a counterintelligence agent, special agent at the FBI.
Now he then proceeds to, by the way, what about the irony of a guy who's a spy hunter being caught on hidden camera by my team? Thankfully, I'm not a Chinese spy.
To the intelligence.
Jamie, you're a spy hunter, you say. Well, I'm a spy hunter too, but I'm evidently a better spy hunter than you.
No permission.
Oh, and then he confronts him on the street like an auditor. This is real news. This is real journalism. This is the real deal. This is what the founders, when they put the free press in there, this is what they're talking about. To expose and shed light on these criminals within government, or else government will run out of control like it has now. This is a patriot. This is what journalism should be. Auditing is what journalism should be. Exposing is what journalism should be.
Actually, we do. It's called the First Amendment. You talk about hunting spies. What if my undercover person was a Russian spy?
Go away, you liar. You're a no.
Oh, liar. They caught him on camera. Dead to rights. They confront him on the street. You're a liar. You're a liar. You're a frauditor. Get out of here, frauditor. It's the same thing. They can't call you a liar. Well, he calls him a liar, but he's not lying. He's obviously on video. Or they call you names. Frauditor, plant, etc.
One fraudster, you have a poor reputation. No one believes you. Go away.
Fraudster, poor reputation, says the guy who's on video, saying exactly what they caught him on video saying. Now, his date, he realized that his date was a spy. The spy hunter realized that. So now it's ad hominem attacks. You're a liar. You're a fraudster. You have a bad reputation. That's all BS. O'Keefe is the truth.
Okay, so this is the former FBI. This is what they do, by the way. They attack you little.
By the way, guys, and I feel really bad because I got caught up in everything between this weekend and this morning and everything. Cammed Up Caveman was put in jail in Clearwater, I think for 10 days, because he dared to say cuss words during the recess of the city council meeting. They went to recess. The douchebag Mayor Rectum took a recess. They all left the room. Cammed Up Caveman says, hey, are we in recess? And there's someone's like, yeah, we're in recess. So Cammed Up Caveman says, F the police. Some butthurt loser got offended because his wife was there, like she's never heard the F word before. So Caveman says, S my D to this guy and F the police. And then, I don't know, weeks later, they charge him with disruption of an assembly or something while they were in recess. And I don't know what their lawyer's doing. I don't understand how free speech is illegal now. Speech is illegal in America. We understand this now, right? Certain speech, certain times is illegal. I believe Canned Up Caveman Anthony is sitting in jail right now. Correct me if I'm wrong. I know Gio and some people are here. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Canned Up Caveman is sitting in jail for speaking words in public during the recess of the public meeting. Sorry, I wasn't able to come to your hearing, Caveman. Dude, this dude is so brave. He told me he's not taking a plea deal. They could put him in jail for a year. He doesn't care. This dude is a real man.
Slings and arrows, little paper cuts taken 100 times over. People stop trusting you, but you got to keep going anyway. Screaming at me that I'm a liar. In fact, they even got a lawyer to sue me. This guy who's what I call an ambulance chaser for intelligence agents. And he sued me and said he's going to expose all of our undercover people. He even tried to blackmail me, saying that, well, if you cooperate with us and give us funding, we won't post the names of your sources. These people play dirty. We're not going to give up. Sometimes I meet with them myself. You might be saying, how is that possible? In Washington, D.C., it's possible because these people have some type of psychosis where they're not even paying attention to who's talking to them.
James O'Keefe himself goes undercover, and the dude he's talking to doesn't even realize it's James O'Keefe. How is that possible? Like, these people in positions, stop giving these people undeserved respect. Just because someone's a cop doesn't mean they deserve respect. A judge, a lawyer, a politician, a president, they're just like you. When they take a dump, they do it just like you. They're not above you. Sorry, we're all equal. Some people are smarter than others, but it comes through, your intelligence level comes through in the words you speak and the things you believe in, not the costume you're wearing.
You have to understand how these people in Washington, D.C. work. They don't care about you. They want money and they want power. But we have to expose that. This guy was one of the guys at the Biden White House telling us all about what was happening inside the Biden White House. I was sitting right across from me. At one point, the guy actually, they never asked me a question about myself. Our undercover people, they never ask us questions. At one point, he actually says, so tell me about you. I was like, whoa, I've never been asked that question before. No one's ever asked me that before. So I turned it right back around on him and I said, you're like this famous person who's like a spy. It's like you're James Bond or something. And he was like, oh, thank you so much. He kept talking. Just flattered him, kept going. Pretty remarkable stuff. I took my glasses off, revealed who I was. This guy is so dumb, he doesn't recognize James O'Keefe, who is not so heavily disguised, but simply wearing glasses. And again, it has nothing to do with my disguise. These people are in some type of psychosis. They have no idea. They don't care about you. They don't care about you. They want power. If you think people in politics are in it for changing the world, then you got to spend some time in D.C. This is one of the funny anecdotes. As I'm doing this, there's a couple beside me. They must have been having an affair or something, because the woman said, I can't be in this video. I can't let my children see this, me in this video. Some of the damnedest things happen when we're actually doing this sort of thing. We've also confronted this guy. He's in the Pentagon. His name is Jason Beck, Total Force Requirements and Sourcing Policy, Office of the Secretary of Defense. This is the deep state.
Should we keep going with this video or move on to the next one? Let me know.
These are the names and the faces of the people that are behind the scenes, unelected, really running the show. Jason Beck says we need to abolish the Senate. He says we need to pack the Supreme Court. He says we need universal health care. At one point, he started talking about sharing all this classified information. I told him, you're making me horny by doing that.
Universal health care, we could start there. Abolishing the Senate. Gosh, there's so many things that you could do. They do have the classified stuff.
Oh, you're cutting out already. I can neither confirm nor deny.
So it's important to hold these people accountable.
So this guy's believes he's on a date with James O'Keefe.
We have to use we have to use whatever legal means necessary to hold these people to account, because without accountability, freedom is just an illusion.
Truer words have never been spoken right there.
So we got creative. This time, we made a Netflix episode on the television in my apartment, and we put his video in the Netflix episode, sat down with him, and I said, there's this show that I want to watch with you about this guy named James O'Keefe. And he catches all these people in the government. And the guy proceeds to criticize this James O'Keefe to me, James O'Keefe.
So there's a show that's based upon like what he does, and I thought you'd find it very interesting given who you are. So I just want to show a few minutes of it and get your thoughts. And it's based upon this guy, James O'Keefe. Yeah. And I think the organization was Project Veritas.
Oh, Project Veritas.
Project Veritas. Like,
yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
Have you heard of that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a terrible person.
He's a terrible person. It's horrible.
Yeah.
So then we line up the episode and hit play.
So there's a show that's based upon like what he does, and I thought you'd find it very interesting given who you are. So I just want to show a few minutes of it and get your thoughts. And it's based upon this guy.
Now this, I think we have the actual episode.
So there's a show that's based upon like what he does, and I thought you'd find it very interesting given who you are. So I just want to show a few minutes of it and get your thoughts. And it's based upon this guy, James O'Keefe. Yeah. I think the organization was.
I think when I play him the Netflix show and he's caught red-handed and he says, "Oh my God." And we also released this story about the Disney tapes. Now, last time I was at Turning Point, I actually said I was going to investigate Disney. Well, we did. And we caught this guy at the vice president of Disney saying he doesn't hire white people because we don't just go into government, we go into corporations too. Oftentimes government.
Oh yeah, Disney went into a super woke mode where everything was anti-white.
And corporations work hand in hand.
How would they say it?
There's no way we're hiring a white official. They might say something like, you know, look, we're not looking at like the usual suspects for this job. You know, the writers and actors we'll hear all the time, like, you know, looking to hire writers and actors who bring diversity.
So we confront this guy, but we have to be creative. So this was a very unique one. There were 2 different female undercover journalists simultaneously meeting with this vice president of Disney. 2 different ladies. None of them knew each other. They both worked for me, but he didn't think they knew each other. And as the second woman was meeting with him, the first woman shows up, pretending to have the other lady's apartment keys. He had told the first lady, he told the first undercover journalist that he had a tickle in his throat. Therefore, he can't meet with her.
Oh, hey, babe. Hey. Hi. Yeah. Yes. Wait, do you guys know each other?
Yes.
Are you guys dating?
We are.
Oh, I told you had a tickle in your throat.
I did.
Now, if that wasn't bad enough, then I show up. He's got a white Tesla. He gets in the car. He sprints away, but because of LA traffic, he couldn't get away fast enough, and I caught up.
You don't have authority to put me on tape. Bye.
I will put you on tape, and I do have that authority under the First Amendment. You know, just because you work
Oh my God, what a frauditor.
in Hollywood doesn't give you entitlement to discriminate against people on the basis of race. Michael, we run after him. We actually catch up with him. He's gonna stop. Sir, we caught right there. We stopped. He's at the Tesla. Wait, not yet. Not yet. See if we can catch up to him. And we do catch up to him. We caught up to him, Michael. Now, you know, it's interesting. And by the way, Disney fired this vice president.
Good job, dude. Good job. Just like Sergeant Brian Faggy needs to be fired from the Connecticut State Troopers. Dude, that whole organization either needs to be abolished or completely overhauled and investigated from top to bottom. But then again, you say investigated by who? The Department of Justice, who also needs to be investigated from top to bottom. It all falls back on us, people. The founder said, you get the country you deserve. You get the country you deserve. We can't just sit around, sit on our hands, sit on our ass, never go anywhere, never do anything, never say anything, never contribute to anyone who's doing the right things and expect it to change. You're always going to get the worst of the worst people applying to be politicians, applying to be judges. They're power-hungry, disgusting people. Good people need to run for these positions. As much as they don't like it, as much as they don't want to, it's your duty. Otherwise, they get filled by people like this.
So how about we just do this thousands of times? Well, how are they going to? They're going to recognize you. They don't recognize me. They don't recognize you. Speaking of chasing Teslas, we caught another guy who was talking about getting around the Doge standards. Charlie Kirk tweeted this out. He was admitting on camera changing the words to avoid the scrutiny of Doge, casually admitting to want to shoot federal staffers. He also drives a white Tesla.
We're here with the guy inside the NIH who's driving away in his Tesla. Listen, you work for the government. You know, it's, sir, you're avoiding accountability.
This is great.
By changing the words from race to ancestry. Isn't it true that ancestry isn't the same thing as race for medical clinical trials, sir?
He's driving slowly.
You don't care about people and their health.
You don't care about people or your health. One of the great ironies in my life is I'm only wearing athletic clothing at events like this. I'm running through the street in a suit. I think he was driving slowly because he wanted to hear what I had on him. So I caught up here. Now, what's next? We got more FBI tapes. Just give me.
This is great.
Just give me 2 minutes. I'm almost done. 2 more slides. We got more FBI agents that we're gonna.
Where's the Long Island Audit's cameraman? That's a good question. I'm assuming he wants to remain anonymous. He probably told Sean that he wants to remain anonymous. I think Sean's going to have his back. I sure hope Sean has his back.
To be releasing, but I want to tell you what we're releasing this coming week as well. You know the story we did 2 years ago on this guy? We need accountability of the pharmaceutical companies. Now, I just want to play this clip, remind you what happened, and then I'm going to tell you what I'm doing next.
Pfizer ultimately is thinking about mutating COVID.
Well, that's not what we say to the public. No, don't tell anyone to tell you. They're probably going to tell you. We're exploring, like, no, you know the virus keeps mutating?
Yeah.
Well, one of the things we're exploring is, like, why don't we just mutate ourselves?
Why don't we mutate the virus ourselves? But don't tell this to anybody. You remember this guy? He's the one who assaulted me and assaulted my cameraman 2 years ago. Please unlock the door.
No. Oh, does that look like what people do to auditors? They get caught, they act stupid on camera, they get caught, they get exposed, so they attack the auditor. This guy right here, all these people he's catching, they're all like the anti-auditor people. If you hear someone use the term frauditor, associate them with people like this. That's what they are. People like this.
Please unlock the door. Please unlock.
Thanks, Johnny Vermont. I appreciate that, man. I'm scared to talk too much too, so I want to be able to have a balance.
These are the medical professionals in our country.
He thinks he's by taking the camera or the laptop or the tablet that he's not going to be exposed.
This is remarkable. This guy, Yale-educated mRNA director at Pfizer. So we know the vaccine had issues. We know there was a cover-up. So this week, what we exposed with Pfizer Pharmaceutical? Next week, we're going after Johnson & Johnson. Okay.
Nice. There's James O'Keefe. That's good stuff, man. I didn't watch the whole thing, but that's good stuff. Good for him. Oh, where do you guys want to pivot to next? Why don't you guys give me a couple comments? You want me to? Let me take a pee break, man. And let me play you some of this crazy lady who was on Piers Morgan, I believe. Let's see here. Is that her? No, let's go back to her. Where's she at? This lady on Piers Morgan is a Zionist extremist settler. She has settled Palestine along with her ancestry back in 1948, like I explained to you earlier. And she just cannot wait to get rid of all the people in Gaza so her and her family can go back to Gaza after they get rid of, ethnically cleanse all the Palestinians out of there, so that they can go back in there and build their settlements and take that land over too. And if you remember when Trump became president at first, he said, we're going to own Gaza. It's going to be like a Gaza Lago. There's lots of real estate there. We're going to build hotels. And he said that the Palestinians cannot come back there. He said, I'm going to own it. We're going to own it. No. So Trump, Israel first Zionist extremist, says that Israel should have the right to control our Congress in America, and that he's decided that all the Palestinians who live in Palestine, Gaza, the West Bank, and Israel proper, they need to go, and he's going to build Gaza Lago there. As a matter of fact, somebody made an AI, I wonder if I could find that. But in the meantime, let's watch this psychopath Zionist settler here. And I'll be right back. I gotta
because it failed. We left Gaza in 2005, and
lie. See, I want to. They did not leave in 2005. They were in Gaza. They came out and just surrounded the perimeter and made it an open air prison. They didn't leave. They still controlled all the food, all the air, all the water. They couldn't even go out into the Mediterranean Sea because they had military ships there blocking off the Palestinians who could even fish, and how far out they can go to fish.
We were promised that Gaza will be Singapore, and I didn't believe in it. But many.
Let me slow it down a little bit too. Sorry. I'm gonna get you guys used to listening to it at least at 1.25 because my brain goes too fast for that stuff, man.
Israelis did believe in it, and it turned into hell, upper hell, down, lower hell, hell. And I think no more experiments. We are not a laboratory. We are a nation that wants to live in the land that was given to us, to the Jews, by God.
But you actually,
the Arabs, the Gazans don't want it.
Yeah,
so I don't want to be an experiment, a laboratory with experiments on the Jewish people.
No, so you made it clear. You think you will
answer you very. I want to tell you, what is your private name? Sorry, I don't know what I'm talking about. Too.
My name.
What is your name? I want to address you.
My name is Piers Morgan. Yeah.
Morgan. Can I address you, Morgan?
You can call me what you like. My name is Piers Morgan. What of the fruit you eat to stay healthy is actually making you fat? According to heart surgeon and Uncensored sponsor, Dr. Steve Gundry, many Americans are making a common mistake with fruit that can cancel out its health benefits. Some fruits support digestion and even help burn calories, but others can disrupt your energy levels and stomach health. Dr. Gundry reveals the top 3 fruits to avoid in a viral video that's already been viewed by more than 20 million people. In it, he explains simple changes that can improve energy, reduce brain fog, support digestion, and even aid weight loss. You can watch a full presentation for free at thehealthyfat.com/Morgan. That's thehealthyfat.com/Morgan. It's also in the show notes. Don't miss this opportunity to learn how a few simple changes can make a big difference to your health. Visit thehealthyfat.com/Morgan to find out how.
Piers, help me. Piers, what? I want to address you normally as 2 people who speak.
Call me Piers.
So Piers Morgan. This is what my.
Call me Piers.
Piers, okay. So I want to tell you, you want to proceed with a intelligent dialogue, or you are the interviewer and answering, let's continue. But if you want to repeat this experiment of putting Gazans in Israel, the answer is simple. It will never be.
Yeah, I heard
because
you.
we
I
have
heard you. I
gone
just
through
wonder.
So much.
Okay. I just wonder.
Okay.
Hang on. I just want to give you a question. I just wonder. Obviously, you're outraged by the idea of Palestinian people taking the place of Israelis in Israel, and I understand that. But what gives you the right to then tell Palestinian people, innocent people, children who've had nothing to do with Hamas, what gives you the right to uproot? Let me finish. To uproot those people from their homes and expel them in what would be ethnic cleansing, which is a war crime, as you know.
They attacked Israel on the 7th of October.
Yeah.
They massacred Jews on the 7th of October after we evacuated Gaza for their benefit. What is not clear in what I say?
Well, what is not clear is that you have also, in going after Hamas in Gaza, massacred between 70 and 100,000 Palestinians. And at what point does that become disproportionate? At what point does the fact that you weren't, that the Israeli government...
Disproportionate. Mr. Moral Quandary Piers Morgan. Such a scumbag piece of crap, bro. He was all about, he was all for what Israel was doing until it just got too far. Up until 30,000 kids and women were slaughtered, he was fine. And then all of a sudden, now he's seeing that the tide is turning and the whole world is realizing that Israel is a terrorist state. Now he's like, oh, well, now. And the second Piers fell off his Israel script, the Zionists went after him hard. What happened? Come on. Give it to me, Poppy.
Continues to prosecute this war in a way that kills so many children. Does this become something which is completely unacceptable?
Okay, not acceptable. So it's a fact. If they had not, you say that it is not acceptable. I understand that it's not acceptable by you. I think that if the Gazans hadn't started, the Hamas hadn't started the attack, there wouldn't have been a...
So, this lady's using October 7th to justify everything. Remember, this started in it started before 1947, but when the United Nations gave 50-some% of the land to 10% of the population, that's what started all this. It's called the Nakba. 750,000 people ethnically cleansed from Palestine and shoved into Gaza and shoved into the West Bank. And slowly but surely, they've been chopping up that land too. They occupied Gaza. They had settlements there. And in the West Bank, they've had illegal Jewish-only settlements since 1967, where they start chopping up the hilltops and they put these giant Jewish-only neighborhoods there, and they have Jewish-only roads. It's complete apartheid. No one in the West Bank who's not Jewish can vote. They have different roads for Jews than they do for the Palestinians. If you have to have a proper license plate to travel on the roads that are for Jews only. Arabs there, Palestinians have different colored license plates than the Jews do. The Jews get to take the nice pristine roads and go wherever they want. The Palestinians don't. And on and on and on. I could talk about this subject alone because I've been studying it since like late 90s, maybe early 2000s.
War, and we, for instance, as people who were evacuated from Gaza in the past 20 years,
evacuated from Gaza. She's talking about in 2005, where they pulled out of Gaza, their settlements, and they surrounded Gaza like open air prison. So they keep saying that we left there. They could have done whatever they wanted, except they couldn't come and go as they pleased. Nobody could leave. Nobody could fish out. Nobody could do all this stuff. Since then, they've bombed their airports. And yes, Hamas kept firing rockets over to Israel because they don't want to live in an open air prison. And I'm not saying Hamas is great. And October 7th was great. But if you suppress someone and you corner them and you keep pushing them and you keep pushing them down, there's going to be blowback. People aren't just going to lay down for you because you're God's chosen people. It doesn't work that way. So where was I going with this? Give me a second. Oh, some hoaxes about October 7th. First of all, they used the number 1,200. Second of all, 20 beheaded babies. That's a lie. The 1,200 people who died, about 700, 800 of them were actual civilians. The rest were like police officers, military, Israeli soldiers. And third of all, we don't know who killed all of them because according to Israel news inside of Israel itself. The Israeli army launched what's called the Hannibal Directive. The Hannibal Directive is a policy for the Israeli army that if some other country has hostages, like from the concert on October 7th, they were taking hostages, putting them in cars and trying to take them back to Gaza. So the Hannibal Directive is if someone has hostages, just kill our hostages, our people, along with them. And they went in there with the helicopters after they responded hours late. You know, the most moral, most sophisticated, fourth strongest military in the Middle East couldn't get over to October 7th, what was happening there, fast enough. But when they did arrive with their helicopters, they just fired missiles and started raining bullets and missiles down on all the cars, engaging the Hannibal Directive. Also, they said there was mass rapes that day. That did not happen. The beheaded babies is a hoax. The mass rapes is a hoax. Every time you hear that, it's a lie. It's been debunked 1,000 times, but they keep repeating it over and over. They are liars, just like cops, just like any tyrant that needs to suppress you. They lie, gaslight, and lie. It's up to you. And you people have the critical thinking ability, especially if you watch me and you watch auditing, because you see these people act just like cops, just lie straight to your face.
Say it's kind of a unpleasant confession for me, but this is the truth of the matter, that we haven't dealt with the idea of returning to Gaza, returning to our homes, because we said, okay, there was a contract, we gave it away.
You gave it away. It wasn't yours to begin with.
We didn't want it to happen. It happened, and that's it. The gates closed.
You personally know 6? What God? Which one? Oh, you know 6 gods. Okay. You better tie this into Epstein being a spy. Okay, so yeah, sure. Epstein, I already did earlier. Epstein's wife, Ghislaine Maxwell, her father was Robert Maxwell, who was a Mossad agent. The military of Israel, the IDF, used to be a terrorist organization back in 1948. Members of the Israeli Defense Forces, Ben-Gvir and Smotrich, are literal convicted terrorists, and they serve in the government of Israel currently. And Trump is buddies with them. When they come over to the United States, Trump pulls out the chair for him. Okay? And then Epstein's, they say he's part of Mossad because he would blackmail people. So Epstein, like Les Wexner, like Alan Dershowitz, like who knows, Matt Gaetz, who knows? There's a reason for decades they will not release these files because they got everyone. Another guy you need to watch is John Kirkow or something. The Israeli Mossad agents would always send them gifts when they come to their headquarters at the CIA, and Kirkow's like, stop sending us gifts, because they would always try to put listening devices. They wouldn't even meet with Mossad agents inside. So that's how Epstein is connected to Israel. Any other things I missed?
Closed.
Yeah, but
feel free to prompt me. I really enjoy that.
But here's the thing. Here's the problem, Daniela. You have no right. Israel has no right to just take Gaza, to just take the West.
Oh, I'm glad you came around with Piers. Good job.
Bank to expel
we didn't take Gaza.
To expel 8-9 million Palestinians. You have no right to do this. You have had no right to occupy Gaza for the last.
Oh, she can't handle this. Oh. She can't handle Piers Morgan.
So what
God
do you
knows
suggest?
how long. Where do you think you have this right to do all this? You're furious at the idea of any part of Israel being given up for Palestinians. Fine. Okay. But why would you then think it's fine for you to take over Gaza and the West Bank?
May I ask you, why do you repeat the same question 3 times? You know, I don't see your face, so it's kind of difficult without the gestures.
Well, let me simplify it for you. What gives you the right?
What
gives you the right to think that you can expel millions and millions of Palestinians?
Look here. I don't know if the viewers, the people who see your program, have the patience for a historical summary. As the State of Israel was established in 1948, 3 days after the Holocaust, and 3 years after the Holocaust, And 2,000 years after the dispersion, after the Romans dispersed the Jewish nation.
Okay, so there you go. She's going 1948. She brings it up, and she's saying 2,000 years before that, there was the Jewish people lived in Palestine back then, and they were expelled by either the Romans or somebody, and they believe they have a biblical right to that land, even though there's 3 religions that land belongs to. Jesus was crucified on the cross over there. Muhammad and his horse flew from the Dome of the Rock off the Temple Mount, or Haram al-Sharif as the Arabs call it, and he flew from Jerusalem into the heavens with his steer. So Mecca is the Muslim or Islam. I'm probably mixing them two up, and I apologize. But Mecca is the #1 holiest site in Islam, and Jerusalem is the 2nd holiest because that's where Muhammad descended into heaven. The Jews think Jerusalem belongs to them and all of Israel belongs to them because David, I think it was King David or King Solomon, built this temple there. I think it was David. Solomon built the first temple. King David built the second temple. And if you watch my previous thing, I explained how the city of David is actually where the temple was built and not where they're saying it is now. That wall that they wail to, every president, every mayor of New York since 1950 something, when he gets elected, goes over to Israel, puts on the tiny hat, and worships at the Wailing Wall. The Wailing Wall is actually the western wall of the Roman Fort Antonia. And the Temple Institute has procured red heifers that were specifically raised in Texas. They bring them over there because in their religion, they just slaughter animals and throw them in these burn pits and slaughter them for their religion. And they're getting ready for the Armageddon and the second coming of Christ. They think Christ is going to land right there. He's going to take God's chosen people, and everyone else is going to be in hellfire and Armageddon. And that's why they believe that in order for the second coming to come, Jesus is going to come down. They're going to build the 3rd temple on the Temple Mount, even though if you read the Bible, not me, but real Bible people, they say that the second temple, the Temple of David, was built further down a little bit in the city of David, also known as Zion, Zionists. So Islam, Judaism, and Christianity, that's where Jesus was crucified. So that is the most hotly contested real estate in the whole world. Instead of everyone being at peace and all these religions living in peace and harmony and doing pilgrimages there and respecting one another, no, that's not what you have there. You have Zionist extremists. By the way, and I know I talked about this on the last episode, but I feel like I need to say it over and over again because people are going to cast aspersions on me that aren't true. Zionists and Jews are not the same thing. Zionists come from the settler colonial Theodore Herzl started in 1890 when he wrote the Jewish state. They were mostly non-religious Jews. As a matter of fact, religious Jews don't agree with Zionists and Zionism. There's a huge difference between the two. So don't conflate those two. That's another thing they try to get you to do. Like right now, I'm speaking out against Israel and the Zionists. They'll say that I'm anti-Semitic and that I hate Jewish people. I do not hate Jewish people. My heroes are Jewish people. Max Blumenthal, Aaron Mate. I loved Adam Kokesh. Aaron Russo, who made the movie America, Freedom to Fascism, that got me started in this whole movement. And I can go on and on and on. The one thing has nothing to do with the other. Zionists bad, Jewish people good. Get it?
And then somehow there's an ingathering of the Jews in the land of Israel, the biblical land. And
so they're using their biblical version of the Scofield Bible or whatever they believe biblically, believing that they get to come there and wipe everybody out of there by force because they're God's chosen people. It's a crock of shit.
Biblical land that we hold to now is very tiny. We tried, according to the partition plan first, to be satisfied with a tiny, tiny piece of land where we have independence. And then when we were small, I would say tiny, And if,
by the way, during the Holocaust and stuff, the United States wouldn't let them come over. They didn't want them in Europe. They didn't want them in America. So that's why they forced them to go down there. And what's his name? Who was the guy? World War II, British president, prime minister, Winston Churchill. He was racist as hell. He has all kinds of racist statements saying that who cares what Palestinians think? Just because you're a dog who's lived in a cage doesn't mean the dog owns the cage. In other words, Palestinians are dogs and Palestine is the cage. They're the dogs in the cage. They don't own the cage. He would say stuff like that.
even without Jerusalem, we tried to manage a Jewish independence in the biblical state of Israel, and we were prevented from living this way. I was born before the state of Israel, so I know all this history from my own
This lady's a psychopath.
flesh and blood, and my own family, and my father wounded in the War of Independence. So we tried to live in a tiny land, and the Arabs didn't let us live. So
the Arabs didn't voluntarily give up their land they've been living on for 700 years. Generations of their families just give up their land and give it to these colonial, not secular Europeans. There's three or four different types of Jewish people too. You got Ashkenazi, which is what she is, the white Jews. You got Sephardic Jews, which I believe come out of Spain, and then you got the Mizrahi Jews, which are Arabic Jews. And Ashkenazis also are racist against the other ones, and they don't like any Jews to speak Arabic. As a matter of fact, the Hebrew language wasn't spoken there. They revitalized the dead Hebrew language in order to give Israel another identity. And another thing you need to know about her, like people like her, Ashkenazi Jews who are not from Palestine, Israel says it's illegal to have DNA tests. So they can't say, oh, take a DNA test. If you're actually from here, you could stay. What they say is, if you consider yourself Jewish, you have a right to go there. Like a Jew from New York goes over there. There's a famous clip, and he steals a Palestinian's home. And he says to the Palestinian, sorry, if it wasn't me, it'd be somebody else.
And there was a 6-day war. And where I live now.
Oh, there was a 6-day war where Israel launched a campaign and took over parts of Egypt, the West Bank, and Gaza through violence, through acts of terrorism.
Was liberated. I say liberated because it's the heart of our homeland in the 6-day war.
So in the 6-day war, they took over the West Bank. She calls it liberating. They took over, have it illegally been occupying the West Bank of Palestine or Israel, whatever they call it. And she claims they liberated by going in there, putting everybody under martial law, chopping it up, creating apartheid, different roads for different people. She calls it liberation.
And since then, we try to live peacefully.
Oh my God, peacefully. Such a lie.
And the Arabs don't let us. So how
the Arabs won't let us steal their land, steal their homes, not give them votes, systematically RAPE them in our prisons. And they always say Palestinians were doing that to the Jewish people, when in fact there's video of Israeli soldiers RAPEing Palestinians on video. The Israeli government actually charged them and put them in jail for doing it. So the Israeli people rioted to break them out of jail because they thought that the Israeli soldiers had the right to do that to people. I guess she considers that liberating too.
How can you try to change facts? Now, you gave me a chance to relate a tiny summary of history. If you have another way to put it, please go ahead.
Okay,
I just did.
I'll put it this way. I'll put it this way.
I am
a
guest.
way. Let me put it this way. The UK government has sanctioned you personally in May of this year. You were described as having been involved in threatening, perpetrating, promoting, and supporting acts of aggression and violence against Palestinian individuals. You have been described as the head of extremist.
Oh, that's an invention. Even though you do it, you talk about it, you're on camera supporting it. No, you're a liberator.
Settlers. The vast majority of the international community, including the United Kingdom, consider the settlements illegal under international law.
They are illegal, and you don't even need law. You don't just get to go and take people's land over and occupy them under military force. That's illegal. That's what the police are doing to us in our own country.
Last year, the UN's top court, the International Court of Justice, said that Israel's occupation of Palestinian territories is against international law, and Israel should stop settlement activity in the occupied West Bank and East Jerusalem and end its illegal occupation of those areas and the Gaza Strip as soon as possible. So that's a bit of history for you, which is that you have been seen as the godmother of Israeli extremists who believe that you have a right to all this land, you have a right to settle where you want to, you have a right to expel all the Palestinians and to take over their land. And I say to you that actually, under international law, you do not have that right. It's actually a crime.
Oh, by the way, Netanyahu and the other Smotrich and Ben-Gvir literally have arrest warrants out for them to be arrested for committing these war crimes, while the United States invites them in and gives them police protection and pulls their chair out for them. And I was telling you earlier about the Ashkenazis, which were European Jews who revitalized Hebrew, took over Palestine, and they changed their names from European names, like Benjamin Netanyahu, his real last name is Milikowski, because he's Polish European. He's not Jewish.
What you're doing. And you should stop doing it. So that's my question. My question for you is, why do you continue to break the law?
I don't know. You present things in a very journalistic way, so I don't know.
Well, facts.
You say, do it.
Everything I just read you is a fact.
Yes. What facts? What facts?
I just read you the facts. I can read them again if you didn't hear them.
Morgan, listen to this. I never hide what I do. I am being interviewed by you and by everyday media people come to this home and to the hills where I establish communities. And I tell what I think and what I do and what I plan. So
you plan on terrorizing Palestinians because you believe you own their land, because you have some biblical right to their land as a European who came from Europe. You're not from that region.
If there is anything in what is so openly exposed that can be considered illegal,
well, you're committing
what
war
is
crimes.
Illegal in what I do?
You're committing war crimes.
Why? So you are speaking to me now.
Yeah.
You're giving so much time in your program to a person who commits war crimes.
Yeah, to expose your dumbass. And I hate Piers Morgan. He's the biggest flip-flopping, garbage grifter, Dunning-Kruger effect piece of crap in the world. But people go on his show for whatever reason. He came to America after Sandy Hook and just browbeat everyone into trying to get rid of the Second Amendment in our country. He is scum of the earth, doesn't believe in free speech. He thinks Alex Jones should never be able to talk ever again. He doesn't believe in free speech. He doesn't believe in the Second Amendment, but he sure loves his house in Beverly Hills, and he can't wait to mention every show that he talks to Trump at least once a week. And he had Bill O'Reilly on the other day, and they were blowing each other because they're like, can you believe that Candace Owens says that Brigitte Macron is actually a dude? She proved it, you moron. You bet her $100,000, and she proved it, and you still won't admit it. And then you and Bill O'Reilly, who tried to SARAPE a Greek woman by the name of Andrea Makris. This is who you run around with, dude. Trump, Bill O'Reilly, you're all disgusting. You're not fooling us.
Yeah.
Why do you do it?
I'm holding you to account.
What's the sense?
I'm holding you to account for your war crimes. I'm telling you should stop your war crimes. I'm telling you have you have no right to displace millions of Palestinians and kick them out of their homes.
You have no right to mess with our Second Amendment, Piers. Remember what happened last time your country tried to do that?
You don't have that right.
Morgan, you hope that through your program you will enhance the chance that I will be put to trial? Is this why you give me so much time in your program?
Yeah, I think ultimately you should face a trial. Yeah, the ups and downs.
So there's that. All right, what do you guys think? Should we keep going? Keep it up. What do you think of the podcast so far, guys? Good, bad? Do I suck? Am I a loser? Am I anti-Semitic? Or am I spitting facts here? Am I spitting straight fire? Fire! Wow! All right, what else we got here? Oh, okay. Let's do this one. Share this one instead. Let's go here. This is 20 minutes long, but I'm not really sure. I need to start taking better notes. And so this lady, her name is Francesca Albanese. Should we keep going? Guys, what do you think? Give me a 1 if I should keep going, or should I wind it down? We're at an hour and 45 minutes. Keep going? Yes? No? Fire? Does fire mean keep going? Hey, man, I'm pretty simple, man. Just write keep going. Okay, one means keep going. Okay, I'm going to say one means keep going. So here we go. Marco Rubio freaks out over UN reps Gaza truth-telling. So this lady, one of the few voices in the world who sticks up for the Palestinians, Her name is Francesca Albanese. She's an Italian lady. She sticks up for the Palestinians. She's actually getting things done to where she's telling people, stop buying stuff made from Israel. Stop supporting their apartheid. Stop supporting their genocide. Stop supporting their ethnic cleansing, their systemic RAPE. Well, Narco Rubio, and his nickname is Narco Rubio because his brother was like a super international drug dealer, and he tries to pretend like he didn't know when he was living in the same house. When Trump ran the first time, he called him Little Marco Rubio. Now, all of a sudden, he's part of Trump's administration. So this is how you see they're all fake. Now he's part of Trump's administration, and he's a hardcore Israel first Zionist. So now he goes after this lady, Francesca Albanese, because she has the nerve to stand up for the Palestinians who do not have. And another thing about this terrorist label, when they say, well, this country has been deemed a terrorist by the United States. So who do they deem terrorists? Countries that don't have an army, who can't fight back, who throw rocks, who lack the ability, because you won't let them create their own independent country. So you label them as terrorists for actually trying to fight back and throwing rocks at your tanks. Don't be fooled by that terrorism term either. If you actually go by the definition of terrorism, Israel and the United States are the top terrorists in the world. Let's watch some of this.
Just took sanctions off of. This is the UN rapporteur on Israel and Palestine, and they just imposed sanctions on her. There's a woman who works for the UN, and her whole job is to give reports on what's happening with Israel-Palestine. That's her whole job. And so she gave out this report recently about how Google, Apple, Amazon are all making huge profits off of genocide in Gaza. And again, that's up to you to decide how you define genocide. But it definitely, it's the definition of what a genocide is that was agreed to at the after World War II, after the Holocaust. So
yeah, so again, that's ironic too, because after the Holocaust, what the Germans did to them, now they're doing it to the Palestinians. But when they do it, it's not genocide for some reason. And there's another thing called the Greater Israel Project. They want to expand. When Hitler did it, it was called Lebensraum, room for his people. Now, when they do it, it's called the Greater Israel Project. Everything they claimed was done to them in the 40s, they're doing to the Palestinians today. It's the same thing, except they're not rounding them up in cattle cars and taking them to camps. They actually created a whole camp called Gaza, and instead of putting them in chambers, they just drop U.S.-made armaments paid for by us. I voted for Jill Stein this last election. She was the only presidential candidate who was against what's going on there. Democrats, same thing. They would have funded the genocide, kept it going. Trump, Israel first. I don't know if I sure hope I explained that enough. Everyone he's put in his cabinet, Israel first. Rubio, Bongino, Mike Huckabee. Mike Huckabee has the nerve to say that there's no such thing as Palestine. There's no such thing as a Palestinian. That's how much of a psychopath, Schofield Zionist he is. And then Ireland is actually fighting against what Israel's doing. And they're like, all right, it's going to be illegal to keep buying stuff from the psychopaths in the West Bank. The West Bank is illegally occupied since 1967 under military apartheid rule, where the Palestinians who live in the West Bank are governed under the military law, military tribunal, while the Israelis who live in the West Bank get to vote and they get regular court system. So Ireland's like, no, F that. We're not doing that. We went through something like that back in the day. We're not having that. So they started saying it's going to be illegal to buy stuff from out of the West Bank. Well, Mike Huckabee's like, I don't know if these Irish people fell inside of a vat of Guinness, but they need to sober up and realize, who God's chosen people are. Huckabee is a religious extremist. And they have the nerve to say those people are religious extremists because they strap on explosives, because they don't have $50 million jets to do it your way, dude. They fight any way they can.
So this is the woman, Francesca Albanese, and she's doing great work. She's certainly sticking her neck out. And what did they do to her? Because she wrote that report? Well, that's just one of the things. That was like the straw that broke the camel's back when she wrote this report. And the Google founder called the UN transparently anti-Semitic because she told the truth about the profit people are making. So Marco Rubio put sanctions on her. So that means Trump, because he works for Trump. So they literally sanctioned her. Today I'm imposing sanctions on UN Human Rights Council Special Rapporteur. I didn't know you could sanction a person, but they're putting, you know how they put sanctions on a country, which is a bad idea, and because it weaponizes the dollar. Well, they're putting sanctions on a person. And it's that Francesca Albanese, for her illegitimate and shameful efforts to prompt the International Criminal Court action against U.S. and Israeli officials, companies, and executives. So
the Israeli Criminal Court, there's a bunch of countries that signed on to the International Criminal Court, International Court of Justice, that they would follow this international law. Well, guess who isn't part of that system and who didn't sign on? Israel and the United States. And the United States says, if you ever try to hold one of us, which we shouldn't be part of that, honestly. We shouldn't be part of any of this. We should be America, defend our borders, stop getting entangled in everything all around the world. That's what America should be.
they've had enough. So they've had enough of her doing her job. That's her job.
Yeah.
And so I guess they're not going to sanction the International Criminal Court, which actually put out a warrant for Benjamin Netanyahu's arrest for war crimes. But they'll go after the UN person who told you. So again, it's this adult children of alcoholics. They're not angry at the person abusing you. They're angry at the person who told you that you're being abused.
Exactly.
And that's what Francesca Albanese did. Her campaign of political and economic warfare against the United States and Israel will no longer be tolerated. We will always stand by our partners in their right to self-defense. The United States. So they call what they're doing.
Yeah, they call what they're doing dropping bombs in tent cities. They call that self-defense. When they went and attacked Iran, they called it self-defense. Everything they do is self-defense. And when the other little people that throw rocks at tanks are actually trying to engage in self-defense, they call it terrorism. Everything is a mind game, a mind F. They're messing with you. Stop believing it.
Every time Israel attacks someone, they call it self-defense. Like when they turned Gaza into a concentration camp, which is called an occupied territory, because that's against the UN, that's against the international law. And so the people who have a right to self-defense would be the Palestinians in that situation. They have a right they have an actual right under UN's charters and international law to use violence to fight back against Israel because they're being occupied illegally by Israel.
Yeah, so that's another thing. On October 7th, under international law, since Israel occupies the West Bank and the Gaza Strip, under international law, the people in the West Bank and the Gaza Strip have the right to defend themselves by using any means necessary because their lives are in danger. So what Israel did was they're breaking international law. The Palestinians fought back. And then Israel's like, oh, they attacked us. To forget the fact that we've had them under military rule since 1948. Forget that part of it. They attacked us in 2023.
And almost nobody disputes that they're being occupied illegally.
Jimmy Dore's okay, man. He's not bad. Like I said, man, do not pigeonhole yourself in the right and left. Watch everybody and make your decisions. I didn't even know Jimmy Dore was a leftist. He's okay, man. When he's right, he's right. When he's wrong, he's wrong. When I'm right, I'm right. When I'm wrong, I'm wrong. You got to be open-minded when it comes to this stuff.
Except, of course, the United States and Israel. The United States, that's the irony there of that statement.
It seems like a lot of people on the left are good on Israel, but they suck when it comes to like social stuff.
That we will always stand by our partners in the right to self-defense. Israel was not doing self-defense when they bombed Syria. They weren't doing self-defense when they bombed Iran. They weren't doing self-defense so they're not doing self-defense when they're slaughtering people in Palestine. The United States will continue to take whatever action we deem necessary to respond to lawfare and protect our sovereignty and that of our allies. So
again, how is that our ally?
So he doesn't just get it wrong. He digs in his heels, puts on his cabaret makeup, and he gives these bitches a show. That's what he's doing. He's going. So he says, I like how he says the United States and Israel. That got to be a typo because that should read the United States of Israel.
That's a good point right there. I have like 10 more videos lined up here, but we're going 2 hours now, man. You guys good? You want me to keep going? Let's see what else we got here. MAGA base disown Trump. Hague summit. Conference convenes for Gaza. Israel settler stuns Piers Morgan. Nah, I'm good on that one. Piers Morgan, we just watched him do that thing. What do we got here? Oh, we watched that one already. Good. Okay, let's get rid of some of these. Groypers. So Charlie Kirk is another Israel First Zionist. I don't know if you guys know who Charlie Kirk is. And he started Turning Point USA. And he will not admit that what Israel is doing is genocide because he's a Schofield Bible Zionist. And let's watch this. Let's just watch some of this here. So these guys, Charlie Kirk. Let's listen to this first guy here.
So my question is, if the president were to enact a policy that would completely benefit the United States.
Too fast. Too fast. Too furious. The president, let's start that over.
So my question is, if the president were to enact a policy that would completely benefit the United States and her citizens, but to the detriment of Israel, would you support it? Yes or no?
That's a false choice. Thank you for being here.
Why is that a false choice?
I get a lot of questions about Israel in the last week. I will not apologize for my defense of our greatest ally in the Middle East. I will.
That's total horse crap. They're not our ally in any sense of the word. What have they done for us? Other than steal our taxes, $3 billion plus a year since 1948. What have they done for us exactly? Attack our ships. Make the whole rest of the world hate us. Bin Laden put out a letter in 2003, I believe, explaining why he did the 9/11 attacks, which is total garbage too. And then it resurfaced in like 2018 on Twitter, and all the Zionists lost their mind and had it completely wiped from the internet somehow.
not apologize for the fact that I defend Israel against its critics, both domestically and abroad. And I'm always just very puzzled at times when I get the amount of attention that is on the only democracy in the Middle East.
Again, that's another lie by Charlie Kirk. Israel is not a democracy. It is an ethno-supremacist nation. They have to maintain at least 75% of Israel to be Jewish. That's why they can't let people from the West Bank and Gaza come in there, because they wouldn't have the ethno majority anymore, and Israel wouldn't be a Jewish state. They would have to like have equality. And then the Arab, and another talking point they use, Israel defenders, is that there's Arabs who live inside Israel. But the thing is, they don't mention there's like 60 plus laws that discriminate against them because they're not Jewish.
Only place where all three monotheistic religions are allowed to peacefully visit their religious sites. The place
that's not true either. It's not peaceful.
That has respect for human rights. The place
respect for human rights. There you go. Here's your respect for human rights right here.
That the Knesset has representation for all three monotheistic religions, something that does not exist all throughout the Middle East.
Not to mention the only pro-gay place in the Middle East, by the way.
Not to mention the only gay place in the Middle East. There was another part here. This guy brings it up because 9/11 was, they were involved. Israel was involved in 9/11. Israel was also involved in the Kennedy assassination and the USS Liberty. So, and I think there's something called the Lavon affair where they stole our nuclear secrets, and then JFK wanted to make Israel to be investigated for that. I covered all this on my last episode. You got to go watch episode 2. But right here, let's go to 10 minutes 30 seconds. I actually took a few notes here.
I appreciate you being here, and I'm going to rationally push back against it every single time I come in contact with it. Thank you for coming tonight. I appreciate it. What a race.
So this is great right here. This is skillfully done, because let's watch it first and then I'll talk about it.
This question that was. So I got a quick and fun, lighthearted question for you, Charlie. So I know you gave a speech in Jerusalem early this year.
Yes, I did.
Were there any like awesome, fun dance parties that you guys had afterwards? Because I heard that Israelis are some of the best dancers in the world. I mean, if you guys don't believe me, just Google dancing Israelis. It's insane how good their dance moves are. Would you agree or disagree with that?
So if you don't believe me, just Google dancing Israelis, that's a perfect delivery, right? Because what he's talking about there is some Mossad agents were in New York City on 9/11, right? Some lady, they were like down here, and the lady with a higher vantage point was watching these guys. And as the buildings were coming down and burning, they were videotaping it and dancing and cheering, and like they were happy to see it happening. So this lady reports them. The cops go pick them up, and they were supposed to be some moving company, but they had all these laptops as things that like intelligence agents would have. They finally let them go. They go back to Israel, and then they go on an Israeli television show, and they say, people think we're Mossad agents. And then they say on the same show, they say, we were only there to document the event. We were there to document the event. What does that tell you? That means they were there with the foreknowledge that it was going to happen to document the event. And that's why these guys are slipping in these things and they're shoving it in Charlie Kirk's face, because Charlie Kirk is a scumbag, hypocrite, liar, and he can't deal with facts. There you go.
Israel's a beautiful country, a great country too.
Israel's a beautiful, great country. Well, that's not what he meant by dancing Israelis, homeboy. That was a good one by that guy. Good job, dude, whoever you are. You guys want to check this out? Should I keep going, guys? Oh, yes, thank you. Thank you, sir. Israel is above America. Who's above Israel? No one, really. Not right now. So, yes, if you guys, one of my favorite Jewish people in the world, Max Blumenthal, he talks about Israel and the crimes they commit. And one of the things you guys need to know, which is very important, especially if you follow me on my main channel, which I'm assuming most of you do, is the Israeli army. Thank you again for the glory of Christ. Thank you for this, for reminding me. The Israeli army literally trains American police officers. So if you ever wonder how and why they have this dominate, control everything, resort to violence at the drop of the hat attitude, is because they're trained that way. And who trains them? I'm not saying they train all of them, but they train enough of them. And I believe one of the stats is that 1 in every 20 cops from the Minneapolis Police Department is trained by the Israeli army. And then New York police are shipped over there to be trained by the military of Israel. Why would, if the military, first of all, military has no business training American law enforcement. And if the military were to train American law enforcement, why would it be the Israeli military training American police officers and not our own military? Oh, because our military isn't allowed to enforce anything on American citizens because of the Posse Comitatus Act, where the military is not allowed to come in and engage in law enforcement against Americans. So thank you for that. You guys want to watch this thing about Arsenio Hall, one of the speechwriters here? It's pretty interesting. Just to break the pace a little bit. Oh, let me tell you my golf story before I do that. And then we'll go to this guy next. This guy's a comedy writer for Arsenio Hall. You guys remember Arsenio Hall? So yesterday I went golfing. What's his name? Personality Check Audits invited me to Fort Myers Country Club. He even paid for me, which is very nice of him. He didn't need to do that. And we got teamed up with an 87-year-old woman and her son, who was probably a little bit older than me. And it was Personality Check and I were in one cart. They were in another cart. We went to Fort Myers Country Club. This place is one of it's probably the second nicest course I ever played in. The only other nicer course I ever played was in Naples, and it was like $190 to play 18 there. The guy who invited me there owned 20 different Wendy's. He owned 20 Wendy's restaurants in Ohio. So anytime you hung out with him, no matter where it was, he paid. Like, he would take us all to the mall in Ohio. I never got to go on one of these trips, but when they would go out in groups, they go to the mall. He'd like, all right, you guys each get a $5,000 spending limit. So they'd go in groups. So anyway, I went to that course. So Fort Myers yesterday, Personality Check Audits. He pays my way. We teamed up with this 87-year-old woman. Well, I think she was 80. And then her son. And then we get in this golf cart, and it's got like a touch screen. It shows you the hole you're on, the pace. You have to keep pace. And you could press a button and it'll show you a flyover. And as your cart moved, it showed you exactly how far away you were from the front of the green to the back of the green to the flag, plus Czech. I call him Czech. He's got this like thing. He just points at the flag and it's like, boom, 166 yards. What are you going to use here? It was so much fun. Oh, and one of the best parts about the whole thing was the guy that we were with, he gets up and he full back, huge swing, crushes the ball, and then he sticks the green, and then he makes this amazing putt. By the third hole, he's done this 3-4 times now. I'm like, dude. I'm like, whoa, bro. I'm like, dude. I'm like, what is your handicap? He's like, 5. I'm like, oh my God, no wonder. I'm like, we should be paying to be playing with you. I'm like, I need your autograph, bro. Like, watching this guy play golf was just, I felt like I was out there with like a legend. He was so good and so skilled. I think he duffed one shot of 18. He shot a 5 or 6 over. He shot like a 76 or a 77 for 18 holes at a really nice, difficult course. All right. Should we keep going, guys? What do you think? You guys want to hear about this Arsenio Hall comedy writer? It's pretty interesting. I thought it was anyway. Yes, no? Bueller? I'm maintaining about, that's pretty cool, Snap Phase. Snap Phase, where are you at, man? How old are you, if you don't mind me asking? Every time I see your name, like when I see your guys' names, I just picture you, like when I hear Snap Phase, I picture some guy who's about 22, who's a gamer for some reason. Tell me how far off I am. I got to play pool with Johnny Archer too, man. That's awesome. I got to play Mike. As a matter of fact, I'm friends with Mike Siegel and his sons, and we went on a golf scramble the other day, and we weren't playing for anything, and it was the most competitive, most fun, crap-talking round of golf I ever played. It was so much fun. Australia, age 50. LOL, I wish I was 22. I'm assuming you're not a gamer either, right? See, all I do is I hear Snap Phase, and I don't know why, in my head, you're a 22-year-old gamer from America. Isn't that weird? Toy photography name. Let's see what? The golf? The what? What do you want to see? This Arsenio Hall guy? Let's listen to this guy.
And didn't have too many expectations. But he knew that I was a writer that he could count on. He liked my sensibility. He liked my originality, my vision of the world. And when it came time for him to do Seinfeld, he was looking for somebody to help him. He called me up and said, basically, we'll do 13 episodes. The show will fail. We'll make a little bit of money and then we'll go about our lives. And it was not like, he was like promising me the world. He was offering me like a short-term gig. And I was, at that time, I had just been fired from the Arsenio Hall show. I was kind of desperate for a gig. And I said yes. And so that's how we connected. We always sort of were connected in some way from the very beginning.
Okay, before we get more into Seinfeld, I have to talk to you about the Arsenio Hall show because for me, I was so excited to learn you were a writer there. Because for me,
have you guys ever seen our Arsenio Hall show? He was like breaking the race barrier on TV. He had a late night talk show. He was from Cleveland, Ohio, where I'm from, and there was a lot of controversy, more than you would think for a TV show.
I'm born in 1979, so 1988, 89, when Arsenio Hall, I think, first comes on there. I mean, that show was so influential for me, and I think that was a revolutionary show, not just because it's a black host, but like it was political. He would have on for example, Minister Farrakhan.
Yes.
And he also would have on wrestlers and play into all the drama in wrestling too, but also ask them serious questions about steroid use, and also musically. The artists he put on there at the time were just exactly like it's the music of my own childhood. I think so. Just to me, there was so much revolutionary and special about that show. So I'd love to hear your reflections on your time at Arsenio Hall, because to me, and like the history of late night TV, to me, Arsenio just constantly gets overlooked.
I completely agree with you, and I think it is and that's why I get into it, and I devote a whole chapter to it, because I really do think it is kind of a underappreciated period in TV history. When I went to see him, I said, I'd be interested in writing like Richard Pryor type of monologues for you, and he was really into that. And that's what I started writing when I first went to work there. And he started doing that kind of material, very edgy material in his monologues.
Oh, really, Snap Phase? Let me look some of that up.
And
it better not be no Epstein stuff, buddy.
Immediately, one of the things I discovered was he was getting, this is before the internet, if you can remember, it's that far back, but he was getting stacks and stacks of hate mail just because he was a black guy on TV. A black star was enough to engender hate mail. And I don't mean like we don't like you. I mean like, violent sexual scenarios that they were writing to him, sometimes in crayon, literally, and really wanting to kill him, just wanting to kill him. And I can't put it any other way because that's the truth. We had metal screeners in the audience.
Ex-bootlicker says, edit this down into segments, John. What do you mean by edit it down? Dude, I don't have that type of time. I don't have staff like Lackluster. And if I made some money, dude, and I could hire somebody to chop up my videos and like do long form content like this, and then they chop it up and they link it all together, that would be awesome, dude. But it's a lot of damn work. I don't have the bandwidth to do this stuff. I really don't. I'm trying to run 2 channels right now. Plus I have a job. Plus I have the internet business. There's only so much one dude can do.
When the audience would come in, they had to walk through metal screeners and weapons would be taken off of people because it was that dangerous, So if he shook hands if he had a female guest.
Yes, Bill Clinton played the saxophone on the Arsenio Hall show. That's right. Arsenio Hall also was in the movie Coming to America. He was great, dude. He was a great guy. Another guy in Cleveland opened a pizza place called Arsenio's, and Arsenio Hall actually sued him for using his name.
Who was white, and he like just shook hands with her, the switchboard would go crazy, and that's not that long ago. And I don't think things have changed that much actually. And like you say, he had Louis Farrakhan on, he had Clinton come on and play the saxophone. He had NWA and Public Enemy. And for me,
please, Public Enemy #1.
It was a fascinating experience because I was one of the few white people working. I was like a minority on that show, and I got to see Black society in a microcosm, that I would never be exposed to otherwise. And I really kind of think most people would really benefit from being the minority in a situation and seeing what it's like, and realizing there's so much more nuance to Black society. We're always like generalizing. Black people need this. Black people, it's like it's not that simple. Black people came from all kinds of backgrounds, all kinds of economic backgrounds, regional backgrounds. There was educational backgrounds, and they all had very different values. And it was a very interesting world to be part of. But he couldn't do my jokes after a while because my jokes were too hard edged. He had to go a little easier, right. And as a result, I didn't get a joke on for 6 months. And when my contract was up, he had to let me go, even though we've stayed friends and he's always let me know how much I meant to him and how much he enjoyed my jokes.
Oh, so it's cutthroat like that. So if you're a comedy writer for these shows and your stuff isn't picked up by the show and used for the show, bye-bye. I didn't realize it was that cutthroat. All right, Mr. Snapface, let's check out some of Snapface's work here. Look at this. This is our guy here in the comment section. So we put my head down there. So this is a Flickr Snapface. He's not a 22-year-old gamer from the United States. He's a 50-year-old Australian guy who happens to be a fan of mine. That's pretty flattering, dude, that people in Australia watch me. I can't thank you enough, man. So you said you took pictures of toys. That one right there with that's the Crow. Dude, how good is that? So what, you set that up? That looks beautiful, man. Honestly, that's pretty cool. The Crow is a great movie too because I believe the Crow is Brandon Lee, which was Bruce Lee's son. And if you watch the movie Dragon about Bruce Lee's life, they always had like some family curse supposedly. And during one of the scenes in this movie, he jumps up on stage and there's all these bad guys in the movie start shooting pew-pews at him. And somehow, some way, there was a projectile or a bullet in one of these guys' pistols, and he ended up dying while making that movie. Some nice flowers. There we go. Pretty cool, Snapface. See now that fly. Is that a real fly or is that like, ooh, isn't that the right here? This is oh, Dracula. Okay. Some Ninja Turtles. All right, brother. What else we got here? Some horses. Oh, these are pretty cool. Now, dude, that's cool. Chucky Liftoff. Oh, look at this. This is how'd you do that? How do you get it to like suspend in the air like that? Is that like Photoshop? All right, cool. Snapface. That's pretty cool. Yeah, they did. Correct. That's good that you brought that up. They used that shot where he got shot and actually lost his life. They actually use that in the movie, The Crow. So watch the movie called Dragon. That's the Bruce Lee's life story. And then go watch The Crow, which is Bruce Lee's son, who actually was unalived in that movie. And the scene where he was unalived is actually in the movie. I got to see both of those in the theater, by the way. That's how old I am. All right. So I think we're good, man. Trump gets ratioed by his own supporters over the Epstein cover-up. Yep. I think we're done, man. Republicans block Epstein file release. Maxwell offers to testify. Israelis panic over Tucker rant. Yep. They can't stand Tucker now because they thought they were going to fire him from Fox News and he was going to disappear. These boomers don't understand. The internet is way bigger than prostitute television. The old school dinosaur media TV is done. Tucker Carlson is 50 times more famous on the internet than he was ever on Fox News, and he can do what he wants. They freaked out when he interviewed Putin. They freaked out when he interviewed the prime minister or president of Iran. They're freaked out that he's talking about the truth about Epstein. I'll tell you what, dude. Tucker's life is in danger. So is Candace Owens. So are a lot of these guys who tell the truth. And I wouldn't doubt that if I ever got big like them, and even now, because I've had plenty of death threats since I went viral in 2018, let me tell you, and stalkers. To this day, I have a stalker. Okay, we found out Melania is 23 years and 10 months and 12 days younger than Trump. Oh, this is a good one. We got to watch this one. All right, let's watch this one. This is one of my heroes, Max Blumenthal, confronting Bruce Fein. Bruce Fein is a representative here in Florida who makes tweets about children being blown up over there in Gaza and thinking it's all good. So Max Blumenthal confronts him here, and it's wonderful.
Representative Fein, Max Blumenthal from the Gray Zone. You've been Max Blumenthal from the Gray Zone. You've been a big supporter of killing civilians in Gaza. I was wondering, how long do you think you would last under?
Palestinian equals Hamas, bombs away. This is what this piece of garbage writes on Twitter. Kill them all. Hashtag no mercy. Hashtag bombs away. And then he writes, there is no suffering adequate for these animals. May the streets of Gaza overflow with blood. Okay, let's start that from the beginning.
You've been Max Blumenthal from the Gray Zone. You've been a big supporter of killing civilians in Gaza. I was wondering, how long do you think you would last under the starvation conditions that Israel's imposed in Gaza? Like, have you ever put yourself in the shoes of the people of Gaza who are starving?
I don't believe in those who believe that they should keep hostages. If Gaza wants the war to end, they should let the hostages go.
So there's another BS Zionist talking point. Israel has over 10,000 Palestinian hostages. But the thing is, when Israel takes Palestinian hostages, they call them prisoners. In other words, they're prisoners who broke the law, so Israel has the right to have over 10,000 of them, including children, and they hold them there without trial because they threw a rock at a tank. But when Hamas took 200 people, by the way, Israel knew 2 years ahead of time that was going to happen. Okay? They knew exactly what they were going to do. They knew it was going to happen. Egypt warned them weeks ahead of time. They knew over 2 years ahead of time. They were nowhere to be found on that day because they needed a body count just like 9/11 to happen so they can justify what they were going to do. They want to take over Gaza, West Bank, and create greater Israel. Where was I going with this? Hold on. Let me regain my thought here.
Take hostages, you get...
Oh, so hostages. So when they take 200 hostages, they're hostages. When Israel has 10,000 Palestinian hostages, they call them prisoners because one's a terrorist and one's our greatest ally. You see how that works? It's all word games. This guy is scum of the earth. And if you live in Florida, don't vote this guy out and protest him as much as you can. This is a garbage human being right here. And this talking point about if they just released the hostages, the war would end tomorrow. That is the biggest lie in the world. That is not true. Anyone that tells you that is a Zionist supremacist scumbag.
what's
Do
coming.
you think you're encouraging anti-Semitism by these kinds of comments, supporting the killing of children, supporting nuking Gaza?
There we go. Now they got their handlers trying to block the camera. This look familiar? This look like what police do to us? That's right, ex-bootlicker. Thank you. Guys, you guys are great, dude. Bibi did finance Hamas. And if you want to watch what Bibi's involvement in all this stuff, Bibi is Benjamin Netanyahu. That's another name for him. If you want to watch what he's all about, there's a beautiful documentary out there called The Bibi Files. Go watch. He funded Hamas. He got suitcases of money and delivered the money to Hamas. And this is well known. Like, this is all garbage.
Sir, he has another interview right now.
Why? I mean, why can't he do an adversaurial interview?
He can do an
I thought you were the Hebrew hammer. You seem more like the Hebrew scammer.
Max Blumenthal, everybody. Good job, Max. Max is great. He gets treated like an auditor. All right, so there's that. Charlie Kirk, we saw. What else I got here? We good, guys? What do you think? Marco Rubio freaks out. Sanction Francesca Albanese. We covered that. I don't know, man. It's a good enough episode. 2 hours, 21 minutes. Should we watch Genocide Scholar? Israel's committing genocide in Gaza. Maybe we could watch a few minutes of that, maybe. Let's see what we got here. Close that out. This, and again, anyone who speaks out on Gaza loses their job. Candace Owens spoke out. Candace Owens had the nerve to say that what was going on in Gaza is not a good thing, so they fired her from the Daily Wire. This lady right here, Kim Iverson, was also fired for speaking out against the war crimes committed in Gaza. Let's listen to a little bit of her, and then we're going to wrap this up, man.
The pattern of IDF operations was consistent with the statements denoting genocidal intent made by Israeli leaders. So the Israeli leaders were talking like genocidal maniacs and
Sorry, 2x speed. Let's go.
deny that the pattern of IDF operations was consistent with the statements denoting genocidal intent made by Israeli leaders. So the Israeli leaders were talking like...
I haven't seen this one. Let's see here. Solving 9/11 by Christopher Bolin. Thank you for showing me that. I've seen almost every documentary there is about 9/11. In like 2005, 6, 7, that I sat in a chair at my computer. This is like when internet started really going. And I watched everything I could find on 9/11. And if you want to know the Israel 9/11 link, this conspiracy there, watch a documentary called 9/11 Missing Links.
genocidal maniacs, and then the actions of the IDF supported the claim. So it's, it's not genocide if there's no intent being spewed by the leaders, but then you see a lot of destruction going on the ground. They would say, well, we don't have proof of intent. And they could also say, yeah, that's just rhetoric. The Israeli leaders can say all of these genocidal things all they want, but actions speak louder than words. And he's saying, well, actually, they said a lot of genocidal things and their actions supported the genocidal statements. He says, he quoted the Prime
9/11 Missing Links, if you want to know how Israel's involved with 9/11.
Minister Netanyahu saying the enemy would pay a huge price. And
that's another thing I wanted to tell you. Everything I learned about 9/11 back in 06, 7, 8, whenever it was, I spent 3 years solid watching everything. I'd go open my restaurant, work at my restaurant all day. I get home, I'd sit in the computer chair, and I would just absorb and absorb and absorb and absorb. And I've been doing this type of research ever since, basically since the 90s. I've been an activist since the 90s. There was just no internet. That's the only difference. I had a camcorder. I would go confront IRS agents.
And he promised to turn parts of Gaza into rubble. Netanyahu also invoked a chilling biblical reference when he said, remember what Amalek did to you, a line many interpret as a call for genocide because it's kill alike men and women, infants and sucklings. So even the babies are...
So Amalek is a Bible verse, Bible passage, Bible story where they were supposed to go slaughter everything, men, women, children, livestock, babies, everything. And when this first started, this October 7th thing, that they knew was coming, that they let fester, that they went there and killed their own people, that they lied about the babies and the mass rapes and all that stuff was all a lie.
Should die.
Then Netanyahu came out and said, remember Amalek? In other words, signaling to the Israeli military the Palestinians are Amalek, and you need to just go wipe them out. One more talking point Israel loves to use is that the Palestinians use human shields. And I'll be right back. I'll do the research real quick, and I'll be right back.
Other Israeli officials called Palestinians human animals and later called for total annihilation. One deputy speaker of parliament even said the mission was erasing the Gaza Strip from the face of the earth. So Bartov writes, Israel's actions could be understood only as the implementation of the expressed intent to make the Gaza Strip uninhabitable for its Palestinian population. And he continues, I believe the goal was and remains today to force the population to leave the Strip altogether or to debilitate the enclave through bombings and severe deprivation of food, clean water, sanitation, and medical aid to such an extent that it is impossible for Palestinians in Gaza to maintain or reconstitute their existence as a group. And then Bartov reminds us that the crime of genocide was defined in 1948 by the United Nations as the intent to destroy in whole or in part a national, ethnic, racial, or religious group as such. And he goes on to say, and in Israel's case, that intent has been publicly expressed by numerous officials and leaders, but intent can also be derived from a pattern of operations on the ground. And this pattern became clear by May of 2024 and has since become ever clearer as the IDF has systematically destroyed the Gaza Strip. Here's what the destruction looks like. And these numbers are pretty appalling that he quotes, quote, more than 58,000 people have been killed, including more than 17,000 children. More than 870 of those children were less than a year old.
Not only that, the Israeli snipers would literally aim for children's heads. And again, all right, I'm going to wind this down, and we're going to wind it up right here. Guys, everyone who came, thank you so much for watching, man. I really appreciate it. So, but let's go here. Remember, every time you hear the word human shield, international law, including the Geneva Conventions and the customary international humanitarian law, prohibits the use of human shields. This is what they say Palestinians are doing all the time, that they use human shields because they live amongst the population. So they're in an area the size of DC. They don't have a military. They don't have military bases. They don't have planes and fighters. They have homemade rockets and machine guns. So they say because they don't have like separate military bases and airfields and all this, that they're using human shields. Wrong. By the way, Israel military headquarters is beneath a mall in downtown Tel Aviv. So if you want to go by that standard, Israel uses human shields. But besides that, and outside of that, in Israel, the Supreme Court explicitly banned the use of human shields in 2005, declaring that the practice was cruel and barbaric. However, despite this ruling, human rights organizations and news reports have alleged continued use of human shields by Israeli forces in military operations, particularly in Gaza and the West Bank. These reports claim that the practice has become normalized and systematic, despite the illegality under both international law and Israeli law. The Israeli military, IDF, Israel Defense Force, it should be called the IOF, maintains that the use of human shields is strictly prohibited under its regulation and states that several cases are currently under investigation. The IDF also notes that it's considered involuntary human shields in its proportionality calculations during the military operations and frequently aborts strikes when civilians remain in the area after receiving warnings. All a bunch of BS. All right, I need a nap. That's it, everyone. I hope you enjoyed episode 3 of the Resisting Without Violence podcast. Go check out my video today from the Polk County Courthouse, where I can't walk into a courthouse anymore without the police starting to bother me. That bailiff came after me. He wouldn't stop. Enough is enough, man. You want to get our country back? You have to know this stuff. You have to stop voting for these scumbags. You have to stop voting for these people who let the Israeli military train American cops. We shouldn't be part of Israel anything. Give Israel one last 10 billion or whatever it is, which we shouldn't even do that, and say, from here on out, this is what you get. You either need to make peace or fight with your own money and your own bodies and your own people without our aircraft carriers, without our military, without our soldiers, or you're going to decide your own fate. Enough is enough. All right. Anybody got a cool catchphrase I can use to be done with the show? Yeah. So yeah, that's it, guys. Rami, thanks, Rami. John, it's nepotism and despotism. We don't vote. They put the choice on the ballot for us. Well, yes and no. The thing is that the media pretends like there's only two parties. Like in 2008, there was 13 people on the ballot to be president. There was 13 people. If they all got equal time in the debates, in theory, each candidate would have a 1 in 13 chance of winning. Question everything, come to your own conclusions. Yes, sir, Mr. KJV, Saint for Life. Guys, also, if you want to come, Tennessee Transparency News, bro. I don't know if I told you, but Larry said he's going to buy a pool table. I think he's buying an Olhausen just so we can have a pool table at Audapalooza. Guys, if you want to come to Audapalooza, Saturday, October 18th in Pensacola, tickets are $100. If you're an auditor, you don't have to pay, but you have to be an auditor that I've heard of because I've watched so much auditing. And if I've never heard of you, you haven't broken the threshold because I don't know which other way to judge it, okay? Like Ripple Effect Media called me today or yesterday and he goes, how much would I have to pay? I go, dude, I've heard of you. I think he's been around for years. I go, so you don't have to pay. But if you just create a channel tomorrow and call it Johnny Come Lately Audits or Audit the Audit, same thing, you got to pay, okay? It's $100. All you can eat, all you can drink, entertainment, comedy, possible cooking competition. We're going to have a pool table there. Police accountability report's probably going to be there. Her, Taya, and Steve. I hope they come anyway. They're working on a YouTube channel called American Cop Watcher where they interview us. So they might come down there and interview the auditors. I'm working on someone with a little bit more celebrity than us. Hopefully this person will come. I sent them an email. And it's not Warren Sapp. Warren Sapp has a, what do you call it? He's got football. He's a coach for the Colorado Rockies, and they play on Saturday, so he's not going to be there. What did Snapface say? I've been threatened with fines and jail for not voting. Wow, dude. Yeah, Australia is supposed to be set up as the headquarters of the New World Order back in the day. They used to say that. I'm in a political asylum in Mexico. I can't go, but I would love to. I can't even go home. I've been threatened from my family and home for 1.5 years now. Wow, dude. I haven't voted in years. Jesus is my king. Right on. I mean, that's better than voting, honestly. Voting is mandatory. You know what? I don't know if I disagree with voting being mandatory. Maybe it shouldn't be mandatory, but I think maybe if you do vote, you have to pass a civics test. Something like that. Or you should be forced to vote and you should be able to pass a civics test or you can't vote. Because the way it is now, man, they just sucker anybody into office. That is crazy, Snapface. You too, the guy is stuck in Mexico. I was the original Lane Myers, but my case got hardly any attention. I'm sorry to hear that, man. Maybe you can do a live stream with me and talk about it. You see the man on the street interview? None of those people should be able to vote. Oh, you're talking about when they ask them simple questions like who was the first president? Like, what? I don't know. George Jefferson? I don't know. I'm from Nevada. You have rights, cop has do. You're not Gavin Syme, are you? Are you Gavin Syme? Is Jesus on the ballot? I'll vote. So vote for a guy who's a Jesus lover, a Jesus loving person. The guy or girl who's a Jesus loving person. How many years do you think it'll be before we actually have a female president? I'm not against that. I voted for 2 females, Jill Stein and Cynthia McKinney, because I'm tired. I don't think I voted for the 2 parties ever since 2001. I think I voted for George Bush before I woke up. And that was the last time one of them 2 parties got my vote. Ah, see, you know who I'm talking about. Gavin's friends with you. So you and him are in Mexico, your neighbors? Rami, I think you're the only one that got that. Thank you. Got what, bro? I hear things like only third generation should be able to run for government or even vote. Third generations? What does that mean? Australia got rid of their guns because of a false flag attack called the Port Arthur school shooting incident, which is a bunch of BS. Oh, ex-bootlicker saying justice for Lion One. Lion One is a female who was dating or married to a gentleman that went by the Benghazi Rabbit, and she passed away recently under mysterious circumstances. I did an interview with Sean Porter on my main channel if you want to go see what he has to say. You voted for steak? All right, everyone. That's enough. I'm done. I need food. I need water. I need to change my shirt. I'm sweating because I'm podcasting so hard. And that's it. Everybody, thank you so much. Hit the like on your way out. And that's the skinny. Because John Cold said so. How's that for a closer? Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.